A hearty good afternoon to you as we welcome you into Rochester's only local sports talk show. It's a sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. The free-to-download Odyssey app on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. We're even streaming live on our YouTube channel. You can watch the sports bar at The Fan Rochester on YouTube and Twitch. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
Sports are fun, buddy. Playoff hockey tomorrow night. We have NBA playoffs, which are super interesting.
Just a whirlwind of 24 hours. You know, for it being what many consider to be the down time on the sports calendar, with the NBA playoffs going the way they're going, the Stanley Cup playoffs going the way they're going, we're starting to get little trickles of scheduling information before tomorrow night's official release. And you mentioned it. I think all eyes in Rochester are going to be focused on Blue Cross Arena here for the remainder of the week as they get that series with Laval underway tomorrow night, just over 24 hours from now. So later on this afternoon in the 4 o'clock hour, we'll be joined by Amerks head coach Mike Leone.
Where do we want to pull up the questions we asked him last week? I mean, what normally it's, hey, the template is let's kind of review the weekend that was. Let's talk about the opponents. Let's talk about other things. It's like, wait a second. How did you stay sharp? How do you get your guys ready here? What has this layoff of 13 days been like?
The format. That's what I'm curious about. I'm curious about the format, the importance of the 2 home games to start the series. How important is it to get those 2 games?
Well, the Montreal Gazette reported that Laval wanted to switch it to the 2-2-1, and the Amerks declined. So that'll be a question we ask Coach, like, is that true? And if so, what's the reasoning behind it? We should point out, Danger, that every one of these series has this format of 2-3. There isn't a 2-2-1, so all the division winners are actually on the road for game 1 this week.
Interesting. So, and that's across the AHL.
Across the AHL.
Yeah. Mike Leone is stopping by, and we'll get him. We'll get his thoughts as his team gets ready for that series against Laval that gets underway Wednesday night. You'll hear the action on the Fan Rochester as the Amerks hosting the Rocket at Blue Cross Arena. Matt Perino joins us every Tuesday at 3:25 to talk Buffalo Bills. Matt Perino covering the Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard.
So I thought maybe today we would have talked about Josh Allen's appearance on the Today Show for Monday. Well, maybe we could talk about his Today Show appearance scheduled for – oh, that's off too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so twice they teased it and twice it's off, so I'm not sure – if that's Big Brother NFL saying, no, we don't want any teases beyond what we have given you. So we will certainly talk about that schedule, get Matt's opinion on what is best for Buffalo here. And, there's some other tidbits, too. Like we had Gabe Davis visiting the 49ers yesterday, and today we got another Buffalo Bill from last year that is making a trip out west.
Rasul Douglas visiting the Seahawks today. We'll talk to Matt Perino about rookie minicamp as well. He stops by the sports bar here in about 20 minutes or so. You can pull up a stool and join us in the sports bar anytime this afternoon on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. 866-4FAN is our phone number, 585-866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, goodsmokebbq.com.
Let's start here with the Amerks. And is this just, hey, we got to pick this up, or is this... Are you disappointed? I'm a little disappointed at these ticket counts, I got to be honest. 5,400 sold for tomorrow night, game 1. Friday night, it'll be better. It is better, but still, there's some 3,000-plus still tickets remaining. There's been 2 weeks of lead time up to this game, and whether it's coincidental or not, the Amerks clarifying today that, no, these games for the second round against Laval will not be on MSG. They will be on Flow Hockey if you want to buy a subscription there. Of course, we will have the games for free. They cited programming conflicts, and I looked up what the programming conflicts are. Pickleball. I'm not kidding you. St. Louis against New York pickleball will be on MSG on Wednesday night.
I mean, it is pickleball after all. I mean, it's I don't know if you know, pickleball is quite the sport. It's emerging, Gino. Everybody's playing pickleball nowadays. Not so many people playing hockey. Well, that stinks. I don't like hearing that. My theory is simple, and I think it's kind of flimsy at this point. We had an unbelievable weather weekend last weekend. If you didn't get out and do the things that you do when the weather breaks, get your yard in order, do the things that you have to do. Like if that's your reason for not wanting to go out on a Wednesday night, I would say why didn't you get it done last weekend? Like the weather's here, spring is here. Let's get behind our home team. I know Friday night will be a little bit easier than a school night.
I'm listening to your point, but this isn't Saturday afternoon at 3 or Sunday afternoon at 3. This is Wednesday night, and when after 8 o'clock you're not doing any yard work or whatever it is. My theory on it is it's the 2 weeks off. The week in between, when's the next game? I don't know. Are you starting off here or Laval? I don't know. I mean, that's a killer. And then people, you know what they do, Danger? They make other plans. So I think what you're saying is part of it. I think certainly a big part of it is the layoff in between. Can't be the team. Like this team, anybody that follows this team, I'm not saying, this is not recency bias. This team is the best version we've seen.
Well, there's your encouragement to go cheer on the Rochester Americans on Wednesday night. We believe they could be on that kind of championship run. They could surprise some teams here, specifically Laval, and be the best version of themselves that we've seen all season long, even coming off of that layoff. That's tomorrow night, 7 o'clock puck drop at Blue Cross Arena. You could still get your tickets for that. You could still get your tickets for Friday night. Let's get behind the Rochester Americans here on their Calder Cup run.
Yeah, and then when we get to the next round, if the Amherst get by Laval, all right, then there's not a long layoff. You're going to be on a regular pattern of, say, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, something like that, where you always have a game coming up in a couple of days.
Gino and I will be live from the arena, the upper atrium there at Blue Cross Arena, Friday night. We're going to go after hours from 3 until 7, give you an extra hour of programming here as we give you everything you need to know about the Rochester Americans Laval series. Game 2 coming up Friday night, and we'll have plenty of reaction and talk to, I'm sure we'll get, one of the assistant coaches, either Paisha or Vinny, on with us, and we'll have you all primed and ready for Friday night's Game 2 action as well as we broadcast live. Don't forget to stop up to the atrium and say yo to Gino and I while we're there broadcasting live.
Yeah, and then we're hanging out afterward, and then we're not bolting after the game. Well, we got to tear down, but then we'll be in our seats. I'm hoping. Last year, do you remember what happened? Like we get to our seats, it's like, wait a second, Syracuse is already up. Oh, come on.
Yeah, I think we heard the goal horn, or we heard like the groans of a goal horn or a goal scored by Syracuse, and you could kind of tell like, uh-oh, and we got back into the arena, and we're like, oh. I think we were down 2-0 or something like that by the time we got to our seat. So it was not a great start for the Amherst last year in the postseason against Syracuse.
Before we get to the scheduling info and the Bills stuff you want to get to, what are the ground rules here? Because I'm not afraid of bugs. I'm the guy who gets to kill a bug, but I am looking at this wasp that is there. There is a pull down curtain in between, and he's up top.
Yeah, I see him.
Yeah, what are we doing with this thing?
F that thing. I'm not worried about it.
You're not worried about it?
No. You think that's going to take us out? I'm not worried about a bee. F bees. I'm not worried about that thing.
All right, well, if it gets out, I don't.
It ain't getting out.
It's it's trying to.
It's trying to get out the window. It ain't getting out. It's gonna bang its head against the wall until it dies a slow death. That thing ain't worried. I'm not worried about that thing.
So Wednesday we're gonna come back and there'll be on the windowsill dead bee.
Dead bee.
All right.
Dead bee. Good riddance. FBs. That thing ain't taking me out.
Bees serve an important in the ecosystem, Danger.
I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
I'm not going on a bee murdering spree. I'm just not afraid of a bee. If a bee wants to fly.
Have you ever been stung by a bee?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I got stung all the time.
Yeah.
It's fine. F bees. Get away from me. I'm not worried about a bee. I'm not worried about a spider either. Well, I mean, within reason.
Right.
Some of those, like, who was it Barkley, Matt Barkley, when he was backup for the Bills, that took a picture of a wolf spider that he found in his place in Buffalo? If I saw one of those, you might get me to shriek like my daughter would shriek at a spider. But aside from that, nah, I'm good.
Nah.
Well, I'll take care of those spiders. Where's our guy?
Oh, he's up right at the top.
Yeah, he's not getting out. He's stuck in there. He's gonna die a slow death. All right, to the Bills. No news on the Bills. Well, we can cross off Christmas night. That was something that I think a lot of people were wondering. Will the Bills host Christmas night at Highmark? We know
I can cross off Christmas night, and so is every other Bill supporter. Oh, goody, the Chiefs are on Christmas night. Nah, you know what? Let's put on A Christmas Story or, Clark Griswold or whatever you want to put on. Chiefs, Broncos, great, fantastic. Knock yourself out, Amazon.
Yeah, that was the one game that we got from the Christmas triple header that was announced for Netflix. Kickoffs at 1, 4:25, 8:20 on Christmas, and we know that night game will be the Chiefs hosting the Broncos. It feels like there's a lot of Eagles games that have been leaked here before the schedule release.
Yeah, can you spread this around to the other fan bases? Okay, yes, they do get the opener. They won the Super Bowl. That's the Cowboys. And we're, wrapping up the show yesterday. I'm like, oh, danger. We got an announcement from Fox. It's Week 17. They play the Commanders. And then, then there's another announcement that they're playing the Bears. And I don't even know the week, but I guess if you're an Eagle fan.
Black Friday.
Okay, that's the Black Friday.
Yeah, Eagles-Bears Black Friday. Eagles visiting Lambeau and taking on the Packers Monday night. Week 10 as well.
So we know 4 of the Eagles games. We don't know anything about Buffalo.
Interesting, right?
Wow.
Yeah. We do have the international games as well. And this is not a zero. These games don't look very tantalizing, but there is a very interesting nugget about the schedule overseas, the international schedule in Europe specifically, because we know that that week 1, they'll have that Friday night game in Brazil, which, by the way, will be on YouTube, streaming for free. What could possibly go wrong if there's a worldwide audience trying to stream a game on YouTube for free? Will we have buffering? Will we have, what will those ads?
No, this isn't Netflix. This is YouTube.
You think YouTube can handle this?
Oh, my God. It's Google. Of course they can.
All right.
Yes. Netflix was the one
We've
with
been burned before.
We remember the Mike Tyson fight.
We've been burned before.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
We actually, buffer. I'm like, ugh.
I don't want to deal with that, Gino. I don't want to deal with that on a Friday night watching a game from Brazil. And we know that will be the Chargers hosting. We have reports that it'll be the Chiefs and the Chargers. That will be made official tomorrow. The rest of the international schedule, the European portion of the international schedule, was released this morning. Here's what we know. On September 28th, it will be the Vikings taking on the Steelers in Dublin.
Not the Bills.
Not the Bills.
Not the Bills.
The Vikings will stay in Europe to play the Browns in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium the following week.
This is a big development. I'm not talking just from a standpoint of competitive nature in the Vikings. This is a trial run, is it not, Danger?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put one team away for 2 weeks. If you ever wanted to have a division, say, of 4 teams between, London and Madrid and one in Germany, this would be the way you would do it. You wouldn't go back and forth. You'd send them over for 2 or 3 weeks, and how would that work?
The Jags did this 2 years ago.
They did.
Against the Bills?
And it really cost the Bills, I think. Yeah, the fact that they were there and rested.
Right. Now, they could get away with it because they're going to play one of their games every year at Wembley Stadium, which they're going to do this year against the Rams on October 19th. Also, the other London game, Broncos at Jets at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, October 12th. All of these games will be early kickoffs, 9:30 kickoffs on NFL Network. So, back to the Vikings. The idea that they're going to spend 2 consecutive weeks, basically play 3 games in 3 countries over the course of 3 weeks, a game in America, followed by a game in Ireland, followed by a game in the UK. I do think that this is, again, a testing of the limitations, a trial run, if you will. What can we get away with as far as pushing these teams, their ability to travel, their ability to adjust, and still play a competitive brand of football overseas?
Is it a benefit for the Vikings, the standpoint of, hey, you're not going to go to the dog pound, you're not going to face the terrible Towels in Pittsburgh. These are 2 neutral site games where
it's a competitive advantage.
Yeah,
in the NFC North, every other team has 9 true road games,
and so they have
7.
7.
Yeah. They're not neutral site, but they're neutral site. They're not the designated home team, but let's face it, these are neutral site games.
No, in fact, you could even make the argument, Danger, that if their bodies are adjusted to going overseas and Cleveland's just getting over there that week,
they have an advantage.
They do.
Yeah, that will be interesting to watch. So those consecutive weeks there at the end of September, and basically from the final weekend of September through most of October, and then for a couple of weeks in November, we're going to have early NFL games, international games, with those games in London that I mentioned. November 9th, the Falcons and the Colts in Berlin.
Yawn.
November 16th, Commanders at Dolphins in Madrid. Madrid gets a taste of the NFL November 16th. If you'd like, when I'm there next month, I'll take a temperature. I'll say, hey, anybody excited for the NFL, knowing that the Commanders and Dolphins are going to be? I'll say it in Spanish, or I'll try to. But my guess is nah. My guess is no. But if I see anything, I'll make sure to document it. If I see or hear anything, it will be documented. I'll do a little focus group within my own family and friends. So that's the international schedule that was announced earlier today. We now know the teams that will be playing, the designated home teams in London, in Germany, in Madrid, in Ireland. And as I mentioned, the Eagles just getting all kinds of games announced with that Week 16 Commanders matchup, the Black Friday game against the Bears, visiting the Packers Monday night of Week 10 as well.
Our buddy Greg writing in, quote of the first hour of the show, FBs. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah. I can't say what I really want to say.
I lost my visual. Where is the damn thing? I was keeping an eye on it. I don't want that thing loose.
What are you afraid of, Gino?
I'm not afraid of anything. I want to make sure
the bee's going to get you? Bee's gonna get you? It's going to sting you?
Bees don't belong indoors.
You're right.
They don't.
This bee,
You're trespassing.
This bee is
violation.
on a suicide mission. It's nothing to do with being outside. He's ending it all. And maybe that's where he is. Maybe he ended it all. Or maybe he found his way out.
That's what I'm thinking. If I can't see it,
Yeah. Well, ultimately, FBs. There you go. There's your NFL scheduling morsels here from the last 24 hours. And, of course, tomorrow night we'll have the full schedule release. We'll react to all of it come Thursday.
With the Bills today putting out the feel-good video of Highmark, they're going to wear this special Highmark patch commemorating the final year, and there's Thurman Thomas, and it's bringing you back, and it's getting you to, become nostalgic. And hey, why not? They're going to lean into this kind of a little bit here.
No, they should. They're not going to lose a single game this year at home. They're going to go undefeated at home.
That is a bold prediction because between the Chiefs, the Eagles, the
that's why
Bengals,
I like it.
The Ravens.
That's why I like it. I like a bold prediction.
The division.
Mm-hmm.
They'll take care of all that, and then they'll lose to the Saints.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that won't happen.
That's cute that the final season will have. So, I mean, wouldn't it be wonderful if the final game played at Old Highmark Stadium was the AFC Championship game? That would be fitting for me. That's kind of like, as a mayor of Narrative Street, I would love to see that story play out.
Well, Joe Buck was on Good Morning America, picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, well.
All right.
I guess that's something. Let's go. Why not?
Has Joe Buck ever called a game here?
That's a good question. Monday night games.
It had to have been the
Monday
Broncos,
night with ESPN.
With the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
That's the one.
There was a Monday night game that he had to have called.
Yeah. He was already over by that point in 2023.
Mm-hmm. The other bit of news before we get to Matt Perino, we haven't talked about it yet. We got tied up in talking about the Amerks and the NFL. The New York Knicks are going to be representing the East in the NBA Finals after their win last night at Madison Square Garden, Gino.
Well, I mean, for Celtic fans, I feel bad for Tatum because it's not only and we're still waiting word on exactly what it is, but if
they brought out the wheelchair, Gene. I didn't like seeing the wheelchair.
Well, you sure this isn't
conjures up some bad images?
Well, I'd rather Celtic fans I think would sign if it was just a Paul Pierce thing, like, ooh, I made a mess here. I got to make sure I'm not putting that in front of the camera. That is a true story, by the way. It sounds like it's an Achilles, and by gosh, it takes him out the following year. the point being here, like the Knicks had won that game already by the time that injury happened. So I don't want any Celtic fan coming with a asterisk. Games 1 and 2 had nothing to do with the injury in this series. So what do I expect here, Danger? I expect actually Boston kind of rise up here. I don't think this series is over. They're going back home. Then it's going to be incumbent on the Knicks to take care of business in Game 6. But for you and everybody else, and I'm looking at ESPN, Knicks favored now all of a sudden to represent the East. What about this Indiana team? I feel like I got to read up more on them. Okay, Halliburton, yep, he's really good there.
Yeah, well-coached team, well-coached.
Oh, well-coached.
Yeah, well-coached.
Yeah.
But I will say, Tibbs made some adjustments last night. Tibbs is the better coach in this series. Tibbs is a better coach than Mazzulla. When you look at the adjustments he made from the first half to the second half of games 1 and 2 and 4, like Tibbs is out coaching Mazzulla. He's coaching circles around that guy with the adjustments he's made. And man, I mean, you watched the early portion of that game last night. White is unconscious. He's just hitting everything. Everything is going in for Tatum. Everything is going in for White. But when I saw Brown get in foul trouble, I'm like, that could prove to be an opportunity. And man, the second half felt like, once again, the Knicks were just a different team. Almost like they woke up and Brunson is a dog. I mean, they're just a fun team. They've been a fun team for the last couple of seasons, and now they've got the champs on the ropes.
Well, and it's become like it always has been, but it's like the East Coast version of going to a Laker game where you've had Spike Lee for years, and then joining the party is Ben Stiller, and there he is, Rick Pitino, sitting right there in the middle there. That he former Knicks head coach.
What I don't like is that everybody's old now. Like, we've seen them for years courtside. Like, I've seen Ben Stiller courtside at Knicks games for years. Yeah. But he's old now. Everybody's old. Spike Lee looks like a grandma. Everybody's old. Everybody's old. It's like, that's the part I don't like. It's like, okay, even when I see Pat Riley, it's like, I don't want to see Pat Riley on my TV ever because he's old now.
You want to look at the YouTube right now?
I get it. We're old. I don't like the reminders. I don't need the reminders. I get it. I know. Well, we'll see how that series winds up, but it certainly feels like it's tilted in the Knicks' favor, and that there was quite the dagger there, the exclamation point at the end of that game with that injury to Tatum. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think the Celtics can rise up. I think the Celtics can maybe get another game. But if you're the Knicks, don't F around and find out. Get this over with and move on.
Porzingis, can they get anything out of him? You watch his skills, and when he's at his best, you figure he should be the best player on the court at any one time. And I know he's been under the weather, and it's kind of mysterious, but he just looks like a shell of himself. If somehow, all of a sudden, he's miraculously back, that's the thing. The only thing I think you could hold your hat on. I'm not holding my breath for Celtic fans there.
Yeah. All right, let's get to Matt Perino covering the Buffalo Bills, Syracuse Post-Standard. We'll talk some NFL schedule. Perino will get his thoughts on rookie minicamp, which wrapped over the weekend. More on the Bills next on The Fan, Rochester.
Date.
5,400 tickets have been sold as of this morning for Game 1 Emirates in Laval tomorrow night. We'll talk to head coach Mike Leone in the next hour. We will have the call tomorrow night here on the Fan Rochester. NFL scheduling notes, still waiting for things from Buffalo. Chris Brown on One Bills Live today offering up who he'd like to see the Bills play in Week 1.
We surmised that would be a game that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And as we have mentioned on the show already, I wouldn't mind getting Cincinnati early because they're usually slow out of the gate anyway because they don't play starters in the preseason. They usually start rusty. We'll
get the thoughts of Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, and the Shout podcast. Matt joining us next here in the Sports Bar. Rochester Red Wings, they have the worst record in AAA at 10-27. Open up the series tonight against Durham. Indiana can advance with a win tonight over Cleveland in the NBA. Denver and OKC play Game 5. Gene Battaglia and the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
We got 10 seconds left. Who's going to win the Super Bowl this year?
I'm going to say Buffalo finally wins it.
Oh!
There's Joe Buck making his prediction. Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. Matt Perino covers the Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard. Read his work at syracuse.com. Hear his work on the Shout podcast. Always good with this time to join us in the Sports Bar to talk about the Buffalo Bills. And before we talk about any schedules or way too early preseason predictions, Matt, what was your takeaway from rookie minicamp that was just happening a few days ago?
Yeah, I mean, not much, right? I mean, we do a show, we talk about it. People want to know what these guys look like, but they're not in pads yet. They basically just got done with the first round of install. So I think you saw a bunch of young players that it looked really fast for them, as they're going through a very limited amount of teamwork. I mean, if you think about a typical training camp practice, these guys get probably somewhere around 9 to 10 team drills to kind of get themselves accustomed to how things are going to go for the day, get themselves into a rhythm. There was only about 5, and they were super short. The guy that really stood out on the day was Jackson Hawes, the rookie tight end, who I think I told you guys that might be my favorite pound-for-pound pick of this draft because of the different things they can do with him. He showed off the hands more than anything. Like everybody's been talking about his blocking. Some of the scouting reports even talked about maybe in college wasn't the kind of pass-catching option that would get a guy drafted in the NFL, so leading you to believe that it's all about the blocking. His hands look great, and I know that there weren't pads on, but he was getting open. He made a couple of different catches at all 3 levels. Dorian Strong, the rookie cornerback out of Virginia Tech, day 3 pick. A lot of people, Max Harrison, he talked about a couple of mistakes that he made, and he was watching Dorian Strong, and so Strong – or a lot of fans came out saying, wait, is this the Benford Kyer Elam situation all over again? I don't think we want to go down that road quite yet. I mean, it's basically day 1 for both of these guys, but you could definitely tell Dorian Strong is a guy that they liked late, probably had a higher round grade on him. He looks like this is just old hat for him. This is a guy that's an older prospect, somebody that comes in is going to compete right away. And I think the Dorian Strong piece of this draft definitely puts Dane Jackson and Tre'Davious White in a different bucket than I think they were in going into the draft.
Matt, we're still awaiting for a nugget, anything when it comes to the Bills' schedule. But the NFL, by announcing who's going overseas for all these games, and we know that portion of the Bills are not involved in that. What's your take here on, they unveiled the travel miles here, and the Bills coming in with the second fewest. How big a factor or benefit will that be for Buffalo this year?
I think it's massive. I mean, to kind of take that, those West Coast trips take a lot out of you. And, who knows if that game is in Orchard Park last year when they went out to the West Coast to play the Rams, maybe they have a little extra gas, on defense and they get a stop. There's just, you don't want to take too much out of it, but I do think like the short amount of, distance for a lot of these trips is something that the Bills and the Nines home game, right? Like they had to play 9 away last year. There's a lot of factors that go into this. I mean, when I put out the tweet earlier this morning, I mean, it feels like it's almost like the pressure's on the Bills to win the 1 seed in the AFC because of the level of their schedule in terms of who their road opponents are, how much they don't have to be inconvenienced. I mean, we'll see the schedule, like are there short weeks, like all that kind of stuff has to still be figured out. And listen, the home schedule is tough. I mean, they're going to play a bunch of really good teams. I mean, the Bengals, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Eagles. I mean, there's potentially 4 losses right there. I mean, if they don't have a good day, I know they're at home. But I think you'd rather have the harder games at home. So this is setting up to me for a team that supposedly is getting all the bit better on defense and to maybe win some of those closer games against elite teams to put up 13, 14 wins.
How much do you think, and we just saw the hype piece today from the team, but how much do you think it being the final year at Highmark Stadium plays a role in the Bills' performance at home this season?
I don't know. For the players, I don't know how much it means to them. I think that they know how much that building means to the legends and all that kind of thing. But from a game-to-game, week-to-week perspective, is Keon Coleman going to get up any more for a game because it's one of the last ones at Highmark Stadium? I don't know if that's as much of a factor. Actually, I'd be willing to actually talk to them about it and see what they think. I think it'll mean a lot to Allen. I mean, this has been his home for the last couple of years, and his introduction to Bills fans in this building, they've made a lot of memories together. So I think from that perspective, it'll be cool. But there's also so much excitement about the new building. I don't know. I think that becomes more of a factor when we get into December.
Yeah, Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, Shout Podcast, our guest. And Matt, we're just kind of left speculating here as far as, all right, I thought Josh Allen was going to be on the Today Show. Apparently that's not going to be happening. So what, if anything, do we know in advance about the Buffalo Bills schedule that we will officially know by 8 p.m. tomorrow night?
This is officially, I think, since I've been covering the team, the least amount of games that we've known in terms of rumored games, leaked games, all that kind of stuff. It is basically nothing. And honestly, year to year, this is not my jam. The whole schedule release, I feel like it's a lot to do about nothing. The teams that they're going to play. I mean, from a professional standpoint, it's great to kind of dive into it and plan out my season from that perspective, like travel and all that kind of thing. But in terms of when the games are going to be at, I don't know if it matters a ton, especially with this schedule. I mean, I think from a Bills fans perspective, of course, you love to get I heard that clip that you played from Brownie. That makes a lot of sense, right? Getting the Bengals early on, maybe getting a Ravens team early on that got nipped by the Chiefs last year in Week 1, something like that. Although I don't know, I think that the Ravens are a team that's set up to come out really strong. So maybe getting them out later on the season would make sense. But I think it's going to come down to primetime games. They want the Bills in prime time, but can you get somewhere around 3 or 4 and then you get a bunch of 1 o'clock starts? I think Beauvais pays a lot of attention to this stuff, and he's predicting a ton of 4:25 games is something that I saw him tweet, which those are almost just I don't know. I'd rather just have the primetime game in that spot. I know a lot of fans probably like the 4:25 start, but for me, I don't know. It's a weird either start early or start late. I feel like in the middle, it kind of you're in no man's land a little bit.
Well, we dodged the Christmas night primetime matchup. That's going to go to Kansas City as they'll host the Broncos on Christmas night. But and this is where we kind of speculate, hearing that maybe Josh Allen was going to show up on the Today Show. What's he announcing? Well, if he's showing up on Today, maybe he's announcing that exclusive Peacock game that'll run that Saturday, the 27th. Do you still think that could be in play here for the Bills late in the season?
Sure. Yeah, I definitely think. And are we definitely ruling out, again, I'm not as up on this as probably even you guys are. Are we ruling out any Christmas Day games?
No.
Could they not play in one of those early ones?
No,
Yes.
it's still possible.
Oh yeah, Matt. I know. We're friends with Dan Fates, and he is he is dead set against that. And you've got kids. I mean, it's gonna be tough for anybody.
Listen, Tino, I'm glad that you two are friends with him because I can't stand the guy. To be honest with you, Dan
Well,
Fates. If he's listening right now, I'm just kidding. I love Fates. Fates is the man. It was funny how you said that. It's like our friend Dan Fates. Can he be my friend too? Tino.
Point well taken. I'm not trying to one-up you. You're friends with everybody, man.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I like giving you a hard time. Was it last week that we were together with no danger?
It was. How was that experience for you?
I didn't love it, but listen, we did our best. We put our brave faces on, and we had ourselves a segment. And I think Danger would have been proud.
Where was I? Last week I was here. 2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
It was a while ago.
ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a few weeks ago.
All right.
They're all running together. Well, how was that interview?
All right,
I didn't like it.
Let me get back into character here, Matt. And if you know me and you know what I've been talking about all off season, then you know exactly where I'm going to go, because outside of the Bills organization, there's a dysfunctional organization that appears to be neglecting one of their star players, and he's a pass rusher, and he's a disruptor, and his name is Trey Hendrickson. And I keep bringing this up, and I think now we're at the point in the offseason where you look at the Bills roster and you're like, yeah, how? How can you add somebody else? But I'm not giving up on the quest that we all kind of started during the week of Super Bowl when Myles Garrett announced he wanted to be traded. The Bills should be in on this kind of a disruptive player. What are your thoughts on what's going on with Hendrickson and whether or not there's any chance there that the Bills could somehow land that kind of elite pass rusher?
Yeah, I just don't know financially how you figure that out. And I think one of the things that the Bengals are telling the NFL without saying it is they're not bullish on giving a 31, soon-to-be 32-year-old pass rusher a sizable extension, knowing that the drop-off is imminent, right? And I think that that's something that any team that's willing to trade for him has to figure out a way to project what that's going to look like. He's not going to have 17 and a half sacks this year. I'm just saying the likelihood, right? To have those seasons back-to-back the way that he has, whether it's avoiding injury, whether it's staying at that level of production, those are all factors. Now, I'm also saying this after the offseason where the Bills have brought in 6 new defensive linemen that are going to compete for roles on this defensive line. And I don't know if any of them can be Trey Hendrickson, even if he takes a small step back. So I think you're always willing to listen and try to figure it out. But if it comes down to a 3-year extension where you're now married to that player and that sizable number for the next couple of seasons, I don't know if you're as eager at this stage, if you're Brandon Beane, to do something like that, because, and who knows, you might even have to pay more because you're it's a conference rival. The funny thing about the Bengals is, I know for years they were called the Bungles, and I feel like they've kind of bungled this whole situation. If you knew you didn't want to pay him and you've been kind of stringing this out, I never got the sense all offseason that Trey Hendrickson was going to just be like, you know what, well, I'll just show up to camp. I'm a good team guy, and we'll just go from there. He wants this contract. It's going to get ugly. It's going to be Hassan Reddick-y. And I feel like the longer you wait on these kinds of deals, the more problem that you run into. And they could have added draft capital. They maybe could have gotten more aggressive in the draft. And who knows? Maybe they love their draft. Maybe they have 2 or 3 starters that come out of it. But I just don't understand this sometimes from teams that, just put these kinds of things off and let them become bigger and bigger distractions. This one's only going to get bigger. And maybe they do it, just end up trading him. And maybe they get a second next year or a first next year. And now, you have more ammo next year. But the way they've handled it, it's just, I would have gotten out of this sooner and given yourself some more chips in this year's draft that was so deep on the defensive line.
Yeah, Perino, our guest here, you're mentioning this and how contracts can look bad. And at the time, we were all nodding our head. Yeah, Von Miller, that's the guy. Von Miller's still sitting out there, and I guess it's kind of a question of, some of these guys taking visits. You have Gabe Davis, who is now a team removed from Buffalo, but he was out in San Francisco yesterday. Report today that Rasul Douglas is out in Seattle. Any of these guys that were, recent Buffalo Bills, Amari Cooper's out there, Von Miller certainly. Matt, could you see anybody coming back at the right number for Buffalo here as we're approaching mandatory minicamp?
The only name of that group that I'd even throw in some consideration is probably Gabe Davis. And, man, I did not realize the kind of animosity there was for the guy when this all broke last week. And some of the reaction to the idea of bringing him back was I mean, people calling him trash, that he sucks. Like I was like, I didn't remember it being this much animosity from the fan base. Now, it's not all fans, of course, but there was a lot of that. And then I remember back, if you remember, he had those arguments on the sideline with fans, and I think that his mom got into it with some people on social media. So some people might have just like turned the page. And I also think people confused the idea. When I suggested bringing him back, I'm talking about wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, like, competing for one of those last roster spots. I'm not saying bring him back in the role that he was before when he was playing 90% of the snaps as your second wide receiver opposite Diggs. That ship has sailed, and I don't think that he's at the point in his career, even at his age. So if he knows the offense, he's friends with Josh Allen, it kind of made sense. But the more that all of that kind of played out, the more I wonder if like maybe it's not a good idea. So I don't know if any of those names make a lot of sense. The one that would be interesting is if like the Bills want to add a little juice and and nobody's buddy on Von Miller. Like that's not the worst thing in the world to have him as like your 5th or 6th defensive end if you want to go heavy on your defensive line, if you don't trust some of these younger players. But again, even at that, I don't know if he has a roster spot knowing all of them. I mean, A.J. Epinesa, do you want to move on from him? You're going to get Landon Jackson snaps. You have Javon Solomon back there, Greg Rousseau, obviously. So, there's just a lot of bodies right now in that room. And I didn't even mention Joey Bosa, who's basically replacing the guy.
Back to Davis for a second, do we have somebody right now in this roster at wide receiver that can fill that Mac Hollins kind of void that you mentioned, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, but somebody that can also play special teams, good run blocker? I mean, it feels like, Hollins, even though he led the team in receiving touchdowns, there was a little bit more to his game than just that. And did the Bills address that loss here this offseason?
What a world that we live in that we're talking about this in 2025.
Yeah.
When we were talking about last summer, like Mac Hollins as this like mind-boggling, questionable addition, and now it's like this critical role that needs to be filled. It's just funny to see how far we've come in the conversation. With that said, I think it's like a 2-player approach. I think part of that role will be Hawes because I think that he can be a much more than we're even envisioning him and what they can use him in this offense. I don't know if that's going to mean lining up at the X and being that blocker. But this Caden Prather, seeing him out at rookie minicamp, he's massive. Like this dude looks like a Mac Hollins-esque type player that obviously likes the physicality, can play in all 4 phases of special teams, and it's why they had him where they did on the board. The drops at times are an issue. I don't know if he's going to blow you away with separation, but if he's going to be their Mac Hollins in training, I think you sign up for that. But in terms of like filling that role, I think that there's I think Keon Coleman can play a role in filling that. Those things that Mac Hollins did. Maybe not on 4 phases of special teams, but in the run game. Like, if you go back to that Seattle game when he absolutely bulldozed, I think it was Reek Woolen on the outside, he can block out there. And I think they're going to ask him to do more of that. So I think it's going to be a committee approach rather than just one singular guy.
Matt, did you I don't think I saw anything that you went over to the stadium, but, what's your kind of viewpoint? Because that was a big kind of a news item. They let a lot of people in there to see how it's coming along. And my gosh, is this going to be done before the end of this regular season? I know they're not moving until next July, but it seems like it's a little ahead of schedule.
I did not get over there, but I do know. Didn't they say that it's supposed to be done? What was it? What was that date that they gave us? Was it during the season or before the end of the season?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't see what they were giving us there. So
somebody was talking about a date. The date. But I've been amazed with how much progress they've made, even since we left at the end of the season to now. I mean, they're literally working on all of the different like suites and all the different levels. I mean, all the structural work on the outside for the most part is done. I mean, they still have to do the glass work and all that kind of stuff, but it seems like they're getting after it with everything else. I don't know. These things are crazy. Like you wake up one day and you look at it and there'll be a video of something. You'll be like, wait, when did they get all that done? Like I remember the I'm friends with a lot of people in Vegas still from my time there. And when they were putting up the stadium, I remember a lot of people saying, weird, the stadium is pretty much done. And it just felt like it was like we were asking these same questions then in Vegas. So I don't know. These construction projects are always kind of anybody's guess.
Matt, give me a little bit of a timeline here. We know tomorrow night is the schedule release. I'm curious about when we're going to learn the fate of the tush push. There's another owners meeting scheduled this summer, is there not?
Yeah, and I think that they tabled it for that later conversation, so we could potentially hear it. Although it's like, are they going to make that kind of like massive, decision about the fate of a season, like right before the start of the season? I don't know. I think it might be something that they continue the conversation, and then we see that like how it plays out this year, and then if they ultimately want to change it, maybe it happens next year. But you know how the NFL is. Like if they want to change something, we've talked about this before, they just do it. So if you sold me that was going to change in a couple of weeks or a couple of months before the start of the season, I guess it wouldn't be the craziest thing.
Matt, when does the Shout podcast drop here with you and Ryan? Is it going to be Wednesday night after the schedule?
Oh, yeah. We are going to react to the schedule dropping. We'll have all of our instant analysis on that. We'll be covered over at Syracuse.com with all of our thoughts as well. And I know everybody's going to get to booking. And one of the cool things for this one, this schedule, there's a lot of like really close one-day trips with Pittsburgh and Cleveland. So we're probably going to set up a couple of Shout live on the road podcasts. So more to come on that. That'll be fun.
Great work as always, bud. Good to have you on with us. Appreciate the time. Let's do it again next week.
Sounds good, boys. Take care.
Thanks,
Matt Perino covering the Buffalo Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard. You can hear him on the Shout podcast as well. Joins us every Tuesday at this time to talk Buffalo Bills.
That's funny. Like, now that we know the international games, like, oh, that's right. The Bills actually have to go to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
The Bills have to go to Cleveland.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, there's going to be some fun road trips if you're up for that sort of thing.
Oh, the Cleveland is a fun place to go to watch a football game. I mean, like their setup right on the water is it's not Orchard Park, obviously. Nothing is. But they've got a combination of neighborhood bars that are nearby there that you can certainly tailgate at or party at, short walk to the stadium, and then you have the tailgating, and you have right on the water as well if you want to be right on the water, park next to the lake. It's a scene, and for what it's worth, I know they're talking about a new stadium. That stadium's not in bad shape, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not in money-making shape. That's the reason why we had new artist renderings, too, what this would look like if you actually kept it there and down to, gosh.
Artist renderings.
Beautiful.
We went from artist renderings to, we just got to install the glass. Once we install the glass, then we'll be, like, it is crazy that this is where we are, and they're going to be playing in a brand new crib just over a year from now.
I don't think or it's been like not in our lifetime, like has a team actually moved in the middle of the season. Like we've had it in other sports. The Blue Jays did it. Like, okay, our stadium's done. Okay, we're going to move over there. Like if that thing is done in November, what are we waiting for?
Yeah, let's host some playoff games at New Highmark where the snow melts off the roof apparently, and we're not going to get any snow. I'm still waiting for that first call. Hey, $20 an hour, shovel out New Highmark Stadium. Are you kidding me? Really?
What if that doesn't work? Like, there's got to be something, right?
Yeah. We'll have Mike Leone, Rochester Americans head coach, stopping by the sports bar to preview his Round 3 North Division Final Series against the Laval Rocket, which gets underway tomorrow night here from Blue Cross Arena and on the Fan Rochester. He's stopping by just about a half an hour or so from now. We have more on the way next in the sports bar, including I have a couple of solutions for anybody who wants to bitch about the results of last night's NBA draft lottery.
And something I realized last night watching the Knicks Celtics that actually applies to Chris Collinsworth. I will connect the dots here, if you will.
More on the way. Your calls are always welcome. 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
950 The Fan Rochester weekday mornings. Because who needs more sleep when you can have sports excitement? WROC AM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester. Sports update.
Breaking news in the sports bar is Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson have been reinstated by Major League Baseball. They are both now eligible for the Hall of Fame. Amherst tomorrow night finally get going after the long layoff against Laval. Head coach Mike Leone will join us later this hour here in the sports bar. Still no dates for the Buffalo Bills schedule. Chris Brown on One Bills Live has a wish for the bye week.
I am a big fan of the later bye weeks because it chops the season in half. You get week 9, 10, or 11. That's kind of the sweet spot as far as I'm concerned because you need that break. So to get that break before the final 5 is a big recharge.
Yeah. Wings home tonight taking on Durham. NBA tonight. Indiana can advance with a win over Cleveland. Denver and Oklahoma City. They're tied at 2 games each. Tonight it's Game 5. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
The international schedule's out.
The Vikings right now are set to make history.
Got the schedule released tomorrow, which everybody is eagerly anticipating.
Touchdown, Buffalo!
Mike Danger.
I need to see Heat in a theater with a heist, a massive heist.
Gene Battaglia.
Like, I'm looking at all the options here for the Buffalo Bills. If they are going to open week 1, give me Cincinnati.
Touchdown!
Nice.
Bengals!
Nice.
Stanley Cup playoffs.
Amherst, Laval.
The New York Knicks have done it again, and they've got the champs back on the ropes.
I think everybody's concerned with Jason.
Stephon Diggs and Cardi B are an item.
The Wolves have taken a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Warriors.
The number 1 pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
The Spurs would have been the absolute best landing spot.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
Yeah, I'm with Bill Ryder. As they were doing the lottery last night, I'm like, oh my God, if it's San Antonio and you have Flag and Wembanyama on the same roster, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Would have been fantastic. However, I mean, look, we could talk about the NBA draft lottery, and I know there are people today that are wondering whether or not this is indeed the right way to reward the top prize in the NBA draft. I mean, you see the Sixers weasel their way into a top 4 pick with the draft lottery and a team that had just over a 1% chance of getting the top overall pick. The guy who has a horseshoe up his you-know-what, shout out to Nico Harrison, the luckiest executive in all of pro sports.
When we were talking about where would it make the most sense, at least from our entertainment standpoint, we said Philadelphia. Like, okay, like pairing him with Embiid, but right on the list was Dallas, Danger. I said Dallas, Antetokounmpo. That's who they need to land. No, they don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, they're good.
No, they're good.
You have no worries. You go from trading away a franchise player inexplicably to not making the playoffs to winning the lottery and drafting Cooper Flag, who will be what Luka was for that team and probably more. But as far as the lottery,
easy there.
He could be more than Luka.
Okay, Luka got him to the final last year.
He could be more than Luka.
It was Luka who got him to the final last year in the West. Like, that's the bar, right? Can you get the team to the final?
Who didn't play any defense in the final?
Well, again, he got through the West. Like, that's the bar. It's not a big bar. I'm not saying you got to win a championship, but like at least get to the playoffs first.
Well, for anybody that has an issue with the lottery in the NHL or the NBA, the real indictment for both of those leagues is the team's openness and willingness to tank for that number 1 overall pick. If you can solve that, then why even worry about a lottery? Can we change, if you're going to change anything, change the system so that losing isn't rewarded? Now, you could say in this case, losing wasn't rewarded. I mean, the Mavs technically didn't tank. They didn't have a very good chance of getting that number 1 overall pick. But once Luka was gone, there wasn't a lot left in that season.
No, like the NBA can show you the Utah Jazz. Like the Utah Jazz have never they've never won the lottery. They had the worst record. They're going to be picking 5th. Sorry, Utah. And that was the one team that looked tankish to me. If you applied this to the NFL, is it fair to say, Danger, that there's more certainty when it comes to the NBA draft than the NFL draft? Because we don't have this conversation. We'll get to a slow day in June or July, like, hey, you know what, the NFL should have a lottery, and you might be hearing that, in other places too. And it's a worthy discussion, but it's not to the point that NFL tanking has gotten so brazen. Like, let's look at the Saints, however, right here. Like, are we sure that Arch Manning is going to be the guy or any of these quarterbacks?
If it's Manning, if it's Nussmeier, whoever it is, they've put themselves in a position, and so have the Rams, and so have the Browns, and so have a handful of other teams, put themselves in a position to be flexible enough to go up and get their guy if they so desire that guy, whether it be Arch Manning or any of the, Drew Aller or any of the prospects that'll be at quarterback in 2026. That's the year where you could see a team doing what we saw the Bills do when they drafted Josh Allen. I've got a couple of ideas here for the NBA. Let me float these by you, Gino. You tell me what you think. What if we record the record over multiple seasons, a 3-year weighted average to set draft order where you don't have to worry about a lottery and then you don't have to worry about a single season tank?
Sometimes, though, you're paying for a previous GM or owner or a head coach or whatever. I guess you got to know what you're getting into if we're going to do like a 3-year window type of thing.
Right. So a team who has the worst weighted average record over the course of 3 years deserves that number 1 overall pick. The worst team gets the best player in the draft, supposedly, right? I kind of like that. I also think if you wanted to get crazy, the NBA loves to create different events, do a play-in tournament for picks. Take the worst of the teams that are out there, the non-playoff teams, and stage a little mini tournament for the number 1 overall pick. If you want Cooper Flagg, go out there and win some games and get him.
I've heard this argument before, and why would any player play for their replacement? It's
okay. So the 3-year weighted average of this.
I think the system is actually fine, Danger. Like Utah and Charlotte and Washington, sorry, guys, you guys all sucked. You had the best odds. You didn't win. And we could say conspiracy or whatever. And look, it didn't work with the Sabres. We're still paying for it.
I was going to bring that up next.
Yeah, 2 number 1 overall picks.
The culture of losing, right? And that's what you're doing when you're essentially saying we're tanking for picks. It's a culture of losing, and that's a hard thing to shed. It's a hard turn to make.
What was the line from Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott?
Win now and win in the future.
That's right. And it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. Like, wait, they made the playoffs the first year? What? How?
We remember it.
Yeah.
We remember that first training camp being like, whoa, this team is tanking. They're trading away all their star players. They're all going away. And you're right. They made the postseason trying to win now and win in the future. I don't have a problem. I mean, like I said, Nico Harrison to me feels like the luckiest executive in all of professional sports to win that draft lottery the way the Mavericks did last night. And I'll listen to the people that say it's not fair for a team like Utah or a team that has Washington, truly bad teams. But they eliminate the lottery altogether when you eliminate the culture of losing and rewarding teams who outwardly lose games.
Mm-hmm.
In the NFL, does it happen? The NFL is such a unique like you could look at the roster for New Orleans and be like, they're tanking. But we don't know. Like, they're going to win some games games that they probably shouldn't win against better teams, and we'll be like, well, maybe they're not tanking. Who knows?
Look, the Dolphins years ago with Brian Flores, like, oh, they're tanking, but Brian Flores doesn't want to hear that. The culture in football doesn't really kind of allow for any of that.
Correct. Yes, that maybe is the biggest issue.
In fact, look at New England. You could have had the number 1 overall pick. You could have had Travis Hunter, but no, Coach Mayo. We need to win games.
Yeah,
we need to win that game.
Blew it for winning a game. Blew your job for winning one stinking game that meant nothing other than the number 1 overall pick.
Am I alone on this? A confession here. And as a commentator, I'm not into Doris Burke. I'm sorry. I'm listening to it, first half, halftime. But then I realized something. Why do I feel this way? Oh, I'm putting her in a Collinsworth bucket, basically.
Oh, no.
Last night in the first half, oh, gosh, here's Boston again. As a Knicks fan, I don't want to hear how the Celtics are finding the open guy, Mike Breen. Yes, that's right. I'm Doris.
This is your Doris impersonation.
Yeah, look, I can see it myself, Doris. Thanks so much. This is like a Bills fan. Oh, you get a good play by Kansas City's quarterback, and you hear Collinsworth just droll about Patrick Mahomes. Funny, by the second half, and even now I'm doing this, I guess I don't really have a problem with Doris Burke.
Yeah. You have fan glasses, right?
Yeah.
We joke. I always say, like, nobody cares when we're right in the sports bar. They only want to tell us when we're wrong. Nobody listens to Collinsworth when he's heaping praise on Josh Allen, because he does. He heaps praise on the kind of player he is, or anybody. Like, oh, my God, this is unbelievable. What a special player. Nobody comments on that. We only want to comment on when that same praise is heaped on a rival opponent. And, for all of the talk of the first half and how Boston was finding the open guy and hitting everything, by the second half, the Knicks made the adjustments they made. They came to play, and they got the W. I was out having wings with my brother-in-law, who in the past has mentioned a love of Doris Burke because of her basketball knowledge. And I'm like, you are out of your mind.
So he texted two of you at the same time. I'm just like,
yeah,
Doris, overrated.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you talking about? Dangerous.
I was
just made the same exact
I was
point.
sitting next to him when you sent the text about Doris Burke, and I, just ruthless, just absolutely ruthlessly mocking him for his love of Doris Burke. I could go either way with Doris Burke. You know who calls a good game? I'm not ashamed to say it. Monica McNutt calls a good game.
She's great.
She calls an unbelievable game.
She's New York through and through.
She calls an unbelievable game. I put her above Doris as far as, like, who calls a good NBA, like, who's a good analyst. She's good.
I'd rather have Monica doing some baseball games, like, get her outside of just the NBA there.
Right.
I think she's that good.
Yeah, she gets into it. She's sharp on those Knicks games. We have Mike Leone, Rochester Americans head coach, stopping by the sports bar here in about 10 minutes or so.
What in the world is going on in Major League Baseball?
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Commissioner Rob Manfred removed Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson and other deceased players from Major League Baseball's permanently ineligible list. Manfred, quote, obviously a person no longer with us cannot represent a threat to the integrity of the game. Moreover, let's pause there. Moreover.
You love that.
Moreover, it's hard to conceive of a penalty that has more of a deterrent effect than one that lasts a lifetime with no reprieve. Therefore, I have concluded that permanent ineligibility ends upon the passing of the disciplined individual, and Mr. Rose will be removed from the permanently ineligible list. He died in September, Danger. You couldn't have done this if you felt this way in September. Okay. Does this mean Shoeless Joe Jackson are getting or Pete Rose? Oh, no. You really think they're going to get into the Hall of Fame? Hit the sound effect, Danger. What does baseball writer have to think about this? Yeah, baseball writer is upset. Do they not understand what the Dowd report was and how this is a stain on the game and we should not honor them in the Hall of Fame?
Do you think baseball writer then will not? I mean, this is the chance for baseball writer to really claim dominion over all of these former great players who were banned for life. Like, it doesn't matter that the ban is lifted. You're still not getting into the Hall of Fame.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
God, that's terrible.
Yeah, like
that is terrible. Even the commissioner, who we think is a clown, is saying, you know what? That damage is done. They're dead. We don't need to punish them any further. We don't need to stain their family's legacy any further. Let's give them something to celebrate for what they did while they were with us. Baseball writer's going to be like, no, that ain't happening. Not on my watch, pal. Not because they we're a stain on the integrity of the game. Ugh.
For the college football playoff, they don't have the writers decide it. They bring together smart people in a room. Why do we leave it up to a bunch of writers? Like, honestly, that's problem number one, right? Like, if the Hall of Fame is really serious, we really need baseball writers because I watched him play in AA, and I knew, the Cal Ripken playing for the Charlotte whatever's back in the day, the Charlotte Sound.
I just think you should remember, Gene, that baseball has marked the time, okay? This field, this game, it's part of our past, Gene. It reminds us of all that was once good and could be good again. That feels like a big story. That feels like a pretty big reversal by Commissioner Manfred. And it'll be interesting to see how seriously baseball writer takes it.
Well,
Wednesday,
we should point out
eligibility when?
Eligibility, well, now
2028. I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, will be the first chance that they have, given that they've passed on or because they've been eligible for so many years. I think there's a window here that they have to get past, and then they'll be eligible. Like I saw 2028.
President Trump pardoned Pete Rose, even though he was already dead. This was on February 28th, calling for this. So it might be one of those, all right, let's pick our battles. Great, you want this? Fine. He's dead anyways. What does it matter? Yeah.
Now leave us alone, Prez. Go worry about something else. Leave us alone at baseball.
By the way, I should point out, this is not betting on baseball. Pete Rose did go to jail for falsifying tax returns. He did sleep with an underage girl that nothing ever came for it. So he's not a good guy.
But the all-time hit king. So just from a pure baseball, Shoeless Joe Jackson threw a World Series. Yeah. Not great. Not great on the resume. But pretty good baseball player, right? So do you let them in because they're a pretty good? He is the hit king. I think Rose should get in.
Can you imagine if something like that happened today? Shohei Ohtani threw a World Series. If we had evidence of that, he'd be done.
For all we know, Shohei Ohtani had millions in gambling debt. That was only alleged, and he had his fall guy set up, and he's doing the time. Yeah, it's none of these guys feel like they're perfect saints, and that's a bit surprising to me. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. Well, let's see what Baseball Writer does with that new opportunity.
Come on. Baseball Writer doesn't take the X here. Read my column. My column is coming up.
My column.
My column.
Pete Rose available for reinstatement. My column. Opining on Shoeless Joe Jackson. My column. Thank you, Baseball Writer. Appreciate that.
Hit the sound effect.
The integrity of the game has been scarred. Let's get to Mike Leone. Once again, we lead into Mike Leone, and he's probably like, why do I have to go on with these clowns and talk about my team? We're trying to win a Calder Cup here.
I'm grateful he's coming on because he's like, guys, I answered these same questions last week.
Well, there's a few things that we've learned since our last conversation with Mike Leone, the format being one, knowing that it's a 2-3 format in the first two games of a 5-game series here against Laval. We'll be in Rochester tomorrow night and Friday night. It's been a layoff, 13 days. How's the team feeling? Where are we at? And how much support are we looking for? We need support tomorrow night specifically. Let's get that barn full for a Wednesday night at Blue Cross Arena, Game 1 against Laval. Gino and I will be live for Game 2 Friday night at Blue Cross Arena from 3 until 7. So if you're planning on going to the game Friday night, make sure you stop and say hi to us in the upper atrium. But Wednesday night, let's get you out there for Game 1. Let's set the tone in this series. Mike Leone, Rochester Americans head coach, our guest next on The Fan.
Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Breaking news in the sports bar is Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson have been reinstated by Major League Baseball. Well, Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe eligible now for the Hall of Fame. 5,400 tickets have been sold as of this morning for Game 1, Emmerich and Laval. We'll talk to Emmerich's head coach Mike Leone next year in the sports bar. Still no dates for the Buffalo Bills schedule. Chris Brown on One Bills Live today offering up who we'd like to see the Bills play in Week 1.
We surmised that would be a game that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And as we have mentioned on the show already, I wouldn't mind getting Cincinnati early because they're usually slow out of the gate anyway because they don't play starters in the preseason. They usually start rusty.
At 10-27, the Rochester Red Wings have the worst record in AAA. They open a series at home tonight against Durham. NBA tonight, Indiana and Cleveland, Denver and Oklahoma City play Game 5. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
I think he'll be fine. I just think it stinks that it's been so prolonged, you know. It kind of stinks, but it is what it is. I'm sure he's taking time to work in his game and get rest and, you know, clean up anything that he wasn't happy with. So I'm sure he'll be ready to go as well as the rest of the team. But, you know, I think that big of a break, it'd probably be a little bit of a feeling out process in Game 1. But once you get through that Game 1, you're back in the swing.
Amherst getting the North Division Final Series kicked off tomorrow night at Blue Cross Arena against Laval. Head coach Mike Leone joining us as he does every week at this time. And Coach, do you believe in divine intervention? Because we have a new pope. He's an American pope, and he's chosen the name, your nickname, Leo. Pope Leo, Mike Leone. This is destiny, Coach.
It is.
Yeah, I hope so. It's pretty, it's pretty wild.
How many people texted you when we had that announcement last week, Coach?
You know what? Just you guys, to be honest with you. I don't think my wife. I don't think anybody.
We're the
only. When I talk to her, I don't know. My wife had no clue.
We are the only clowns in your life. That's what you're saying. The only clowns you associate with are here in the sports bar.
Pope Leo, an American. These are signs here.
Yeah, it's good. I hope so.
Coach, how was gosh, we're usually asking about the games that happened and the games well, how was the week for you where you had no games this week?
Oh, yeah, it was good. I mean, I think everybody's just excited to play. You know, it's been a long time. Had they gave the guys off on Mother's Day and had 3 really good practices, 2 more today, or 2 more Monday, Tuesday. I think everybody's just ready to go. I think we're excited. Guys worked really hard to put us in this position. It's a really good opponent. I think everybody just wants to compete, and I think we got meetings in the morning and stuff, but I know guys are just ready to play. As a staff, we're ready to see our guys play. Everybody's excited about the opportunity. So, you can't wait for puck drop.
Amherst hosting Laval, Game 1, the North Division Final tomorrow night, Blue Cross Arena. You'll hear the action on the Fan Rochester. We certainly encourage you to go out and support the Rochester Americans. Head coach Mike Leone joining us. Can we talk a little bit about the format? Because I want to say last week when we spoke, we didn't really know what the format was going to be. We now know that we will host Game 1 and Game 2. You at least have those 2 guaranteed home games in this 5-game series. Is that ideal? Does that play more into our hand than it does Laval's?
I think it's good that we get to start at home. If you look at all the series in the AHL, every single series is 2-3. You could look at it, the Charlotte series. They lose 2 at home. They go win 2 on the road, and then it's a Game 5. I think there's a bunch of different ways you could look at it. I'm more game to game. We start at home. That's when they tell us we're playing, so we got to be ready to go then, and then go from there. We've been good in that building. It's the playoffs, so I think regardless of what the format is, I think we're excited about starting at home. Usually if you're not the top seed. You're starting on the road. We've been really good at home, obviously in playoffs against Syracuse. So, yeah, it's different for sure, but it is what it is, and we just got to be ready to go. Game one's going to be really important.
Coach, the Montreal Gazette reported that Laval wanted to go 2-2-1, and the Amerks declined. Is that report true?
I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I don't know. Like I honestly don't. We were just told by Tones and our general manager we're going 2-3, so we want 2-3. I honestly don't pay too much attention to it, but I think it's when you're talking about series and decisions on the arena, time slot, and everything. I think that's ownership group and general manager. The probably people at Montreal Canadiens, Buffalo Sabres. So when they told us they were playing 2-3, we were fine with it. Every other team is doing it, and I don't really have an answer for you. They just said we're 2-3, so we want 2-3.
Mike, we know that goalies are a different breed, and we've got one that's been an absolute witch throughout the course of the season in Devon, and I'm just curious how you manage a goaltender who's had a 13-day layoff and is about to, get peppered for a series here after having that kind of a layoff, that kind of time off.
Yeah, I mean, we had a scrimmage day, kind of simulated a game on Saturday. Really 70-minute practices the 2 days before that, so it was really intense. Got a lot of shots. He's putting in work with Shamo, the goalie coach, and like it's difficult. You wish you were playing all the time, especially with how we played in that series and a lot of momentum. But I know Dev will be ready to go. He's been good against Laval, and we're going to need him to be good.
Health of the team, are we good? No setbacks with Komarov? Is he available for you tomorrow night?
Yep. Comey and Rusek will be good to go.
Perfect. Then nothing else cropped up this week?
Nope. Everybody's good. Everybody's ready to go.
So it's a good problem to have, right? Because you have other guys like Brandstrom and others. I mean, somebody's going to be the odd man out. Just generally speaking, how do you manage one of these situations when there's going to be a good player not getting going to be able to dress here?
It's difficult for sure, but I think that it starts with having conversations with guys earlier in the year. I mean, if you ask any guy in the team, I think they know the communication from my standpoint, from the assistant coach's standpoint. I don't think everybody all season has ever questioned where they're at, I'm very black and white when it comes to that stuff, or where they're at. There's going to be good guys out of the lineup, but at the same time, you got to be a really good teammate. You got to show up to the rink, make sure you're cheering the guys on. That's really important. The guys that, Brandstrom, a difficult conversation to start the series. We said we're going to need you. He played game 3. Comey was out. He was a great teammate. He was there supporting the guys and played a really good game for us. So you need everyone at this time of the year. Usually in series, it all works itself out. But, our guys have been great about it all year. I think it starts with our staff and the communication with knowing where everyone is and how valuable everyone is. Just look at our lineup. Warren was second leading scorer in playoffs so far. Not many people would probably expect that, but internally we know how big of a part of a team he is, and you need everybody at this time of the year to pull their weight.
Head coach Mike Leone, Rochester Americans, joining us here in the Sports Bar as his team prepares for the North Division Finals against Laval, Game 1 at home, Blue Cross Arena, coming up tomorrow night at 7:05. Coach, we're going to be at the game on Friday, right before Game 2, broadcasting live from the upper atrium. I know you're not going to look past Game 1, but when we're thinking about Game 2, as tradition, we don't normally talk to the head coach before a game when we do the live broadcast.
It's like seeing the bride on your wedding day. You can't do that.
Yeah, you've spoken throughout the course of this season highly of both of your assistants, both Vinny and Paisher. So I guess my question is, which one are you going to sacrifice to us clowns come Friday night when we're there broadcasting live for a quick chat on the game?
It'll probably be Paisher. Vinny might get I don't know. Vinny's, if I mess up Vinny's routine, he ain't going to be too happy with me. So it might be patient. Vinny's, if you know Vinny's very, very routine. He still lives his life like he still plays in the NHL, and I mean that respectfully. Yeah, I call him Lance Armstrong because he's on his, he probably bikes like 40 miles a day.
Jeez.
He's
a machine. He's a machine.
Think of how far you've come here, because you come in. These guys were here before you, Coach. Like, what was that like? Like, oh, here is your new job, and these are your two assistants. And sometimes the new head coach gets to pick the assistants. That decision was made for you. But what has that been like growing with these two guys along the way?
Yeah, I think probably one of my strengths. I'm a big. I'm very, I guess you would say, calm and poised, and I don't get too high, don't get too low, and part of the reason is that I got to play for probably the best coach in hockey right now, and I learned a lot from him and how to manage people and how to manage. I give those guys a lot, and they have a voice, and they probably do a lot more than other coaches, and my job was to figure out their strengths, what they're really good at, and then put them in positions to succeed. I think that's also part of being a head coach. It's not about me. It's not about I'm the new head coach. I don't ever feel like that. We're a team. We're all in this together, and they're a huge part of where we're at, and I give them a lot, and I think they take pride in that. I think they're I don't know. I wasn't here last year. I don't know if it's different, but that's just how I operate. And those guys have a huge say in our team. And they've been awesome. They're fantastic, and I love both of those guys.
Mike Leone, Rochester Americans head coach, our guest in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia getting ready for tomorrow night as the Amerks series against Laval, the North Division Finals, gets underway at Blue Cross Arena. You can still get your tickets, the Blue Cross Arena box office, Ticketmaster.com. You can hear the action here on the Fan Rochester as well, your proud home of Rochester Americans hockey. And I don't know, Coach, I guess after a 13-day layoff, let's get it the F on. What do you say?
What did you guys say?
No. Like he said it.
No.
You said it wrong, Danger.
No one's got it right so far.
Oh boy, now I'm in trouble.
GITFO.
Yeah, no one's got it right so far. I haven't heard one person get it right.
Oh, okay.
It's not.
No, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's kind of it's funny. I see people guessing, but no one's got it right.
You're like, this is cute, Danger. What you're trying to do.
Well, yeah, some people will say get it out, or I just kind of laugh. It's actually kind of funny because us and the guys talk about it all the time, like the players, and it's funny. We're like, hey, did you see that one tweet? This one guy said that. It's kind of funny, to be honest with you. And the players are smart. Like, they're very, they know what's going on.
I love it. Well, whatever you're doing is working. We got to keep them motivated, keep everybody ready to go. Good luck tomorrow night. We're excited to see what the world looks like when we talk again on Tuesday, and we'll see you at the arena come Friday.
Hey, but the NBA draft is rigged, by the way. That's rigged. That's for a
Well, we were talking about that. Okay, so what's your take? I mean, I don't like the culture. I don't like the culture of losing that tanking breeds, and I think it's a hard thing for teams to get out of. This was a situation where you had a team that you could say that maybe they were tanking towards the end of the season. They had a 1% chance to win the lottery. They win the lottery. Can we just eliminate lotteries in the NHL and NBA and come up with a different system?
I agree. I'm not a fan of that. It's just crazy how the whole Luka thing happens, and then all of a sudden they get the one pick. That's why it's good for sports talk radio, that's for sure.
Well, maybe next week we'll learn.
I was watching the basketball game, too. That was too bad what happened to Tatum. I'm a big basketball fan. I watch a lot of NBA.
Yeah, Tatum looked like he was giving it his all. I mean, he was kind of carrying things there, and you hate to see that kind of injury happen. But, I also don't want to take anything away from the Knicks, who battled back there in the second half.
No, for sure. They've been great. Brunson is He's a big-time player, but he's a dog. He's a dog.
Are you a Piston fan? Because Isaiah Stewart's
big time.
Isaiah Stewart's from Rochester. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. He's a dog.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, maybe we can get him out to an Amerk game here.
Yeah, that'd be great. You dropped the puck.
Love it. Coach,
Okay.
good luck tomorrow night. We'll talk to you on Friday.
Okay, see you guys.
You got it. There he is, Mike Leone, head coach, Rochester Americans. Loose, ready, tomorrow night, game 1 at Blue Cross Arena. Go get your tickets. Go support this team on their Calder Cup run.
So let's review some of the things we learned, okay? Number 1, Gitfo. Okay, whatever the saying is, you said it wrong, I'm saying it wrong, everybody's saying it wrong.
It's not get it the F on. Well, I can't say it the way they want me to say it.
Right, maybe that's it. That could be it. Point number 2, we're the only ones that texted him, hey, congratulations, Pope.
Yeah.
I would think.
Pope Leo.
Pete
Yeah.
Leo.
No, we're clowns. I mean, at this point, we're jesters in his court is what we are. We're court jesters.
Point 3, the 2-3 format. He's right. He didn't have any say in that. If you're the team that is not the better seed, you want to guarantee yourself the 2 gates. It is a business after all, and that's why every one of these teams opted for the 2-3. Think about that. Wouldn't you have gone to your head coach and be like, hey, what's better for your team? And I believe Mike when he said, no, I wasn't part of that conversation, for the format there.
It's a business decision.
Yeah.
This is the AHL, and they're doing everything they can to make money. And that fuels every league. That fuels every team. I get it. I think it's interesting. We'll see how it plays out. But the 2-2-1 just feels like in a 5-game series, that's what you would want. Cut back on the travel a little bit here and maybe save a few bucks that way. At least you've got all 4 remaining series following the same format. There isn't sort of any inequity in one direction or the other.
No, and then when we get to the next round, okay, we get to the best of 7.
Which is the way, honestly, it should be. But again, we're in the business of making money here if you're the AHL, and that kind of travel might be a bit of a drain on some of these teams. We'll take a break.
We gotta have Leone off season. Hey, what you could have kept him? What do you think of Pete Rose now going to the Hall of Fame?
He's a sports guy. Yeah. And he also identifies that's good for sports talk radio. Yeah, we did talk about the NBA draft lottery. Sucking. Why do we have lotteries? Get rid of them. That sucks. It sucks that a team with a 1% chance. Yeah, it leads to people saying what he said. It's rigged. It's rigged.
We did a show once. Sports conspiracy theories that you actually believe.
Yeah.
And there's 2 of them I actually believe. One of them being the frozen envelope. When you watch the video of the first NBA draft lottery with the top prize, Georgetown's Patrick Ewing. Oh, my gosh. And there's Adam Silver reaching around the idea that the envelope was frozen. Therefore, he knew which one to pick, and he's fumbling through, and he finally finds it. It's that looks suspicious. I believe that conspiracy theory. The other one is Kurt Schilling did not bleed. That was red paint or whatever he was using on the sock. I'm sorry.
Did Wilt Chamberlain score 100 points in a game?
That's fact. That's
I don't know if I buy it. I don't know if I buy it. I mean, it was so long ago. Why? Because he's holding up a sign that says 100. Who was there? Who saw it? Who witnessed it?
It was in Hershey Park, PA.
Yeah,
at
sure.
Neutral Site game.
Sure. Yeah, okay. In Hershey Park, of all places. It's a nice black and white photo of him holding up a sign with the number 100, but it doesn't mean that he scored 100 points in that game. Who witnessed it? Did anybody? Were there fans there? Were there spectators there?
Weird thing is, you would think.
I don't hear anybody saying, I remember when Wilt scored 100 points in a game. Nobody saw
Where
that.
are the other photos from that?
Right.
Or video.
Right.
You would think that there would be just the one photo of him.
Yeah, congratulations. I could do that. If I hold up a photo of 100, I could walk around and tell everybody, I scored 100 in an NBA game once. I'll get a puck with tape on it and say, yeah, look, this is my first NHL goal. Don't you think? What do you think? That's for my time in the show.
What's more suspicious, Dallas winning the lottery or, you know what? Sorry, Islanders, you're not going to get an All-Star game, but you win the lottery.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm done with draft lotteries. They turn them into made-for-TV events. The NHL, I still don't understand how they came up with their system. Their system is so convoluted and difficult to understand and impossible for fans to actually stay engaged in and understand what's going on. I mean, if you're a Sixers fan last night, at least you're excited. You're like, oh, wow, we're in the top 4. That's exciting. They still have a chance at the number 1. But I think there's got to be a solution that can eliminate the culture of losing that breeds that breeds from tanking, where you're still giving the worst team the best player to try and even the playing field, to give them a chance to even the playing field.
That being said, Cooper Flag in Dallas is much better than the NBA for insert here. Utah, Washington, Charlotte,
Sure.
any of those teams.
Sure. I was secretly hoping he would land in San Antonio. I thought, oh my God, if he's in San Antonio, you have Flag and Wembanyama. Woof.
Phoenix would have been a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
They would have been back.
Philly would have been fun too. You put him and Embiid. I mean, do they coexist? How does that all work? That would have been exciting for Philly fan as well. So I look again. Nico feels like the luckiest executive in all of professional sports after winning that lottery last night, and that's something I think we'll be talking about, much like we talked about the Penguins and their nabbing of Crosby after having Lemieux for all those years. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We've got some scheduling morsels to share here from the last 24 hours in advance of the NFL's full schedule release tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. We have time for your calls as well. If you want to join us at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
You're listening to The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. Rochester.
It is official. Jason Tatum torn right Achilles.
Oh. Wow. He knew it, too. Like, that's the thing that sucks. I mean, the injury sucks, but his reaction to the injury, you knew it. He knew it. The emotion.
I think it was more the emotion because we've seen guys tear Achilles. It comes to mind how many. It's always like, wait a second, did that really kind of happen? It's not kind of a pain sort of thing compared to other injuries, but I think that was a different reaction from Tatum. Probably he knows I did this. And instantly you're thinking, oh, my gosh, what's next?
Now, I've never done the Achilles, but I have torn the ACL, and it is an injury. When it happens, you know. Like, something is wrong. With the ACL, I heard the pop. It was a noise that reverberated through my body. I heard the pop of the ACL, and I imagine that the Achilles tendon, when that pops, that you feel that as well, that you hear that.
It's like a Venetian blind. If you can picture that, where the calf muscle is just going to go, rip,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden you don't have anything down there. It's like, oh, something just tremendously wrong here.
Right, and man, you know what? He was having one hell of a game, and he was carrying. He and White. I mean, White was just unconscious in the first half.
Well, you know how this works, though. Do you really think Boston's going to go home?
No.
No, they're all going. Everybody's going to kind of raise the level of their game. So that's tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, this is Jaylen Brown's time now. You see what he's made of. You see what White is made of. You continue to fight. You continue to battle, and now you do it for your fallen teammate. I hate that news. That stinks for the Celtics. It's bad for the NBA because that's an injury that'll keep them out because it happened now. It'll keep him out for most of, if not all of next season too, correct?
Yeah, no, there's no way he's coming back. And then you have the cap issues, everything going on with the Celtics. Where do they go from here? So I think the Celtics are, like you're already projecting, like next year is kind of like a half step back now, where now you're kind of building for 2 years.
Not so much in Dallas, the luckiest organization in sports today with their winning of the lottery. That's the only comparison I can make is like when the Pens won the lottery for Sidney Crosby, it felt like, okay, this is rigged. What are we doing?
That was the one and only time where you had a lottery, but because there was no season before, okay, who's the worst? Well, it was everybody in the lottery, and everybody had equal odds. And I'm like, you're kidding me. They gave it to Pittsburgh? You're kidding.
Yeah, that was BS. Hated that. Well, the Knicks now on the precipice of advancing to the Eastern Conference Final. And, Gino, nobody cares when I'm right, but, hold me to it. I said it last night. I said it yesterday that the winner of last night's game will represent the East in the NBA Final. Let's see if the Knicks can do something magical and historic, man. They've been gritty. They've been a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Where wasn't this report out of Pittsburgh that today was going to have a big announcement?
There was some chatter. No, we haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
we haven't heard anything on that. And, the other point of speculation is, would Rodgers have everything that he needs to be a Pittsburgh Steeler except for signing the contract, knowing, hey, I'm not really into the first two phases of the offseason activities. You tell me when you need me at mandatory minicamp, and if I'm not in Egypt or in a darkness retreat, I'll be there. But that's the baggage that comes with Aaron Rodgers, right? Oh, you want Aaron Rodgers? Well, first you got to pay him his $10 million, and second you have to work around his offseason schedule because he's going to demand that he gets what he gets. I know it seems very unlikely now, but until he signs on the line that is dotted, I still believe that guy ain't coming back. I still believe that guy is not playing in 2025 What do you? You like a cab? You like a brose?
My list, whatever you want, buddy. Or if you want to buy a bottle, I'm not going to pigeonhole you.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll await with bated breath to see what Aaron Rodgers decides to do, or maybe he's waiting for the precise moment before the NFL releases their schedule tomorrow night to make his announcement that he's returning to the NFL. It is tomorrow night at 8:00. We do have some dates to go over. Nothing specific to the Buffalo Bills, but one specific interesting note from the international series in Europe that we'll get into next with Happy Hour here in the Sports Bar. And we have plenty of time for your calls if you want to join us as well at 866-4326. 585-866-4FAN.
You're listening to the And streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Amerks ticket count for tomorrow night, 5,400 as of this morning have been sold. Amerks Laval will have it for you tomorrow night. Radio only here, no TV for this one. Tomorrow night on The Fan Rochester. Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson have been reinstated by Major League Baseball. Both Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe now eligible for the Hall of Fame. Still no dates for the Buffalo Bills schedule. It comes out tomorrow night. Chris Brown and One Bills Live has a wish for the bye week.
I am a big fan of the later bye weeks because it chops the season in half. You get week 9, 10, or 11. That's kind of the sweet spot as far as I'm concerned because you need that break. So to get that break before the final 5 is a big recharge.
Rochester Red Wings with the worst record in AAA at 10-27. They're home tonight against Durham. It's official. Jason Tatum has a torn Achilles. Gene Battaglia, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
The international schedule's out.
The Vikings right now are set to make history.
Got the schedule released tomorrow, which everybody is eagerly anticipating.
Touchdown, Buffalo!
Mike Danger.
I need to see heat in a theater with a heist, a massive heist.
Gene Battaglia.
Like, I'm looking at all the options here for the Buffalo Bills if they are going to open week 1. Give me Cincinnati.
Touchdown!
Nice.
Bengals!
Nice.
Stanley Cup playoffs.
Amerks Laval.
The New York Knicks have done it again, and they've got the champs back on the ropes.
I think everybody's concerned with Jason.
Stephon Diggs and Cardi B are an item.
The Wolves have taken a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Warriors.
The number 1 pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
The Spurs would have been the absolute best landing spot.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Happy hour in the sports bar. Thanks for joining us, Rochester's only local sports talk show. Appreciate you listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. They're free to download Odyssey app, or if you're watching along on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester on YouTube, also on Twitch. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
Yeah, as who thought here on Tuesday afternoon we'd still be waiting for Buffalo Bills dates? Danger, after all, they are one of the premier teams in the NFL. They do have one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. Well, we have 4 dates for the Eagles, we know. We know the Chiefs have. We know 2 of their dates. We know all the overseas dates. And yet we don't have anything for here in Western New York.
Now, we'll get to some of the schedule morsels that we have here in the last 24 hours. And, of course, everything becomes official just more than 24 hours from now, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. A couple of former Buffalo Bills out and about that I think are worthy of note. Rasul Douglas visiting Seattle today.
I like Rasul Douglas when he came in. I like the attitude. It's a position where you got to get younger. Okay, and I understand the direction the Buffalo Bills went there, so I hope Rasul Douglas kind of lands on his feet in that regard. We talked to Matt Perino earlier today, like, of these guys that are still out there with Bills ties. I'm going to throw in Von Miller, Amari Cooper still out there. Which one would you rather have back? And he said, believe it or not, it's Gabe Davis. Like, if you had to say pick one, but a lot of people not into that idea.
Right. Well, I feel like towards the end of his time in Buffalo, he started to become a little bit of a polarizing figure because of the inconsistency. Like, you would have historic performances followed by kind of a dud or the wrong route or his hands become an issue, whatever the case may be. We kind of know what Gabe Davis was with the Buffalo Bills, and certainly well below expectation in his 1 year in Jacksonville. Gabe Davis visiting the 49ers now. And my first question with Gabe Davis would be, is he healthy? Because they officially waived him with a failed physical designation in Jacksonville. So that, I think any team would want to know first and foremost, how healthy is Gabe Davis before they end up making any sort of commitment to him. The schedule. Let's talk about these international games, the European games, which we found out about this morning. Now, we know that that first Friday of the NFL season, Friday, September 5th, week 1, that Friday night game in Brazil, was reported that it'll be the Chargers and the Chiefs. We'll get that officially tomorrow. We also learned today that YouTube will stream that week 1 game for free. You don't need YouTube TV. If you have it, of course, you'll be able to watch it. But if you're just on YouTube, that game will be on there. I imagine that the NFL is looking to break some sort of online viewing or streaming record with how many people will be watching this for free on YouTube.
Hold on. Like, what is YouTube known for in the NFL?
The Sunday Ticket.
And this is like the second game before the first Sunday.
I get what they're doing.
Everything.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
I get what every ad is going to be.
Like,
yeah.
Hey, you can watch this for free coming up on Sunday. Guarantee it. Here's a little taste. I'm like the drug dealer.
That's
on the corner.
right.
Yeah.
No, the NFL knows exactly what they're doing. They can do both. They can get a massive number of viewers. They can promote the Sunday Ticket to this audience that is watching the product for free. They can sell this like a drug and give you a taste and hook more and more people into the Sunday Ticket. I mean, it all checks out. It all works brilliantly for the NFL, and in this case for YouTube as well, who will probably gain several, YouTube Sunday Ticket subscribers. While we don't have that official from the NFL in terms of who the Chargers are playing in Brazil, we now know all of the teams going to Europe for the international series starting at the end of September. And the first game in Europe is the Dublin game, where the Steelers will be the home team, the designated home team in Dublin, against the Minnesota Vikings. But then the Vikings stick around, and the Vikings go to London the following weekend to take on the Browns at Tottenham Hotspur.
That is a huge break for the Vikings. I mean, to think that you're not going on the road to Cleveland, you're not going on the road to Pittsburgh, 2 road games now. Granted, they're on the road, they're neutral site. Well, Gene, aren't they going to have more Steeler fans? The point being, they're going to be already adjusted their body clock by the time the Browns get over there. I think it was a huge factor a couple of years ago when the Jags were over there for 2 weeks, and here comes the Buffalo Bills, and the Bills were, as much as they said they were banking sleep, didn't work, and they weren't prepared as you would want them. We see where this is going, right? The Vikings will go, and they'll be able to point to some things and learn some things. Like, eventually, in our lifetime, we're going to have some sort of European division. Whether that, say that's just 4 teams. We have London and Madrid and a team in Germany and somewhere else. You're not going over there for a one-off. You're going over there for 2, maybe 3 weeks, Danger, and this is how you would do it. You would travel like in a pod, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah, let's play that out. European division would be, let's say there's 2 teams in London, 1 in Madrid and 1 in Berlin.
Okay.
There you go. And now you work out the schedule where, yeah, the travel to get there is a bitch, but you're there for multiple weeks. You're not just there for – and then, of course, you have your divisional games where you're all in Europe. You'll all be able to play. That feels like that. I mean, when the next CBA comes up and they're talking about adding another game, do they bring this conversation? They bring these data points into that conversation, I would imagine.
Well, I would think that with the prices of, and you know way more than me, and I don't want to get over my skis when it comes to soccer, right? But the prices for a club, right, overseas, how does that compare to an NFL team?
Oh, yeah, no, there's a lot of wealth in European soccer, Premier League soccer, and they pay their players very handsomely.
Right. So you have like different sports groups. Would you have? Heck, the owner of the Buccaneers owns a team, right?
That's right.
So, like, you could have one of those teams overseas, like, okay, we're going to actually have our team here. When you brought this up years ago, I'm like, no, that will never happen. But the world has changed, and these owners are in it to make money. And players kind of suit, hey, you don't like it? Do you want to make more money? Oh, okay, I guess I can go live in London for 3 years.
Right. So after you get through those first 2 games with the Vikings a part of both of them, and these, by the way, all these games, early morning Sunday games, 9:30 a.m., NFL Network, as we become accustomed on Sunday mornings to getting up early, getting our coffee. I flip off CBS Sunday morning and make the NFL part of the routine in the fall. The following week, the third game of the international series there in Europe would be the Broncos at the Jets, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Then the Jags will do their annual home game at Wembley Stadium in London against the Rams. That's October 19th. Then you get a couple weeks before we get 2 more games in Europe, one in Berlin. That would be the Falcons and the Colts on November 9th. And then the following week in Madrid, Commanders at Dolphins.
I think you can skip that November 9th game, Colts and Falcons. Although probably we'll have a piece fantasy-wise, right, of whether it's Bijan or somebody else.
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's the way you get up, and you have to see what's going on in those games. You're going to have a piece. You're going to have an interest, most likely, in some of these European games. So we got those crossed off, and the Bills avoiding the Europe schedule for the 2025 season. Have they avoided Christmas? Well, there's going to be a triple header, and we now know that the Bills won't be playing the late game, the primetime game on Christmas night. That will be the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Denver Broncos.
So that game is on Amazon. So we have the
Amazon or Netflix? Christmas is Netflix.
No.
Really?
Because that's a normal Thursday. So last year we had only the 2. So that's why we know that. Tomorrow morning is going to be the Netflix announcement. Now, oh my gosh, what is the mystery behind Josh Allen? Friday, today's show teases he's going to be on. Oh, no, it's actually not. And then Monday, oh, no, he's going to be on Wednesday. Now we learned that Josh Allen is actually not going to be on the Today Show tomorrow. But what I'm thinking here, Danger, is if Netflix wanted, like if you're NBC, hey, we have more dates and we're going to tell you we're on Netflix. I don't think that's a conflict of interest there for the Today Show or NBC. It'll have everybody kind of tuning in, actually, like, okay, what are the Christmas Day games going to be? There is nothing other than speculation on my part. The fact that the Buffalo Bills haven't been tapped on the shoulder here yet for any of this, it feels like
it's one of those games.
Netflix is not paying all this money, right, for the Colts and Jaguars. It's not happening. They're paying for a quarterback, and they got 2 decent games last year. Hell, they got the Chiefs and Steelers, and then they get Lamar Jackson against the Houston Texans. Christmas, the Bills are not out of the woods yet.
Yeah. We know it won't be a primetime game, but you're right. They might end up on one of those 2 Netflix games on Christmas Day. For some reason, the Eagles, we've got a lot of Eagles games that have been announced.
Why?
Because they're the champs.
Yeah, but you would figure there'd be some sort of balance. I mean, yes, okay, they're going to open against the Cowboys. Hey, sign me up. And then yesterday, for some reason, Fox, their unveil was a Week 16, Week 17 doubleheader?
Week 16 doubleheader.
Week 16 doubleheader. Okay, Eagles and Commanders.
Yep.
Followed by Packers-Bears. Okay, great. And then there's some random Monday night game against the Packers that was announced by ESPN.
Week 10, yep.
Anything else I'm missing there?
Oh, Black Friday. The Eagles will host the Bears Black Friday.
So they got that date, too.
Right. I'm actually hearing that was exciting because I didn't want to have the Bears ruin my Thanksgiving consecutive years. I was nervous they were going to have to go to Detroit again.
That was really bad last year.
Oh, it was terrible.
It
ruined my Thanksgiving.
It was right there. That got your coach fired.
It was absolutely.
That was gross mismanagement.
Justifiable firing in season, something they've never done, ruined my Thanksgiving weekend.
I mean, you think that you are somebody who prepares your whole life to become an NFL head coach. In simple clock management, you can't wrap your mind around. And even if you're bad at it, you don't have anybody in your headset saying, hey, we got to call timeout here. What are we doing? Or
trying to turn the page. Yeah. So I'm kind of excited that they won't be playing Detroit on Thanksgiving. They might ruin my Black Friday if they play horribly against the Eagles. But, let's face it, it's Black Friday. We're all kind of like in that post-Thanksgiving haze, just comatose. And I'll be in a good place regardless of the outcome of that game. So we'll find out again everything having to do with the NFL schedule more tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. And I'm sure we'll have some more morsels here in the next 24 hours. And as we get closer to that 8 o'clock, last year, I remember the Wednesday that they released the schedule, it was just one report after another report, like credible reports, people saying, this is what I'm hearing, here's the schedule, before the 8 o'clock schedule release.
Oh, tomorrow's going to be a fun day in the sports bar. If nothing else, we have that to look forward to. We also are kind of the extended pregame show for the Rochester Americans, and we were joined by head coach Mike Leone. We do urge you to listen to that if you're an Amherst fan. Amongst other things, he said, hey, I had nothing to do with the choice of a 2-3. The one thing I'm a little rubs me the wrong way, the ticket count. I'm going to be honest. 5,400 is a little disappointing for me. The idea, and I don't know if we're allowed to connect dots here, but then the Emirates today also putting out that due to scheduling conflicts, these games in Rochester, games 1 and 2, Wednesday, Friday, will not be on television.
Right, because pickleball is way more entertaining to watch than a Calder Cup playoff
It's
game.
not a joke. That's what MSG will be carrying tomorrow night.
Yeah. Go to the arena if you have the chance, if you have the means. Go support this team. They're on a pretty decent run here. The Calder Cup is at stake. They have the opportunity to dispatch the top-seeded Laval Rocket and see what comes up here. Like Eastern Conference Final doesn't feel out of reach for this team. They have everything to play for, and, of course, your support is always welcome.
Gosh, like you're going to have Hershey or Charlotte awaiting the winner on the other side here.
Tough teams.
Oh,
nothing easy.
No.
Nothing easy moving forward. For as easy as they made it look against Syracuse, nothing easy moving forward.
No, and look, if I had to say what are the reasons why that the ticket count might be down here, how about a 13-day layoff for starters? It's not only that danger. If you knew, it wasn't until the end of last week that we said, okay, these are going to be the dates here in Rochester. That legitimately, you didn't have any time. You couldn't tell people when the next date would be.
Yeah.
So it's tough to plan.
School night, that's something. I know my calendar is full. My daughter's being confirmed tomorrow, so we're at Mass tomorrow for Lexi's confirmation.
Did not know that.
Yeah, so that that takes me out of the books. But I know that there's, and I'm sure there are a lot of families that are also in that Mass.
Who's the sponsor? Are you the sponsor?
I am not. My father-in-law is the sponsor.
Oh, all right.
He really enjoys the time that he's spent sitting in a classroom and going to confirmation classes and all the masses. It's going to be that's going to be fun. But I just think about our lifestyle in Rochester, how people yearn for the weather to finally break, and we're here now. You look outside and you see we finally got spring. It's here, however fleeting it may be.
There's distractions. Spring, Mother's Day, all these other things going on, and let's not pretend like, hey, this Knicks Celtics series is really pretty interesting. Do I want to go to Game 2 or go to the Amherst game Friday night? By the way, you should point out Game 2 is actually pacing better than Game 1. They've sold 7,000 seats for Game 2.
Friday night, we will be live from the arena, 3 until 7. So when they open up the gates, you're getting ready to head to your seat, make a point to stop by, say hi, raise a glass. Let's get these guys advancing past Laval and into the Eastern Conference Final. Game 2, that'll be Friday night. And you mentioned it, pacing a little bit better than Wednesday night. But if you have the opportunity to go to either game, let's get these guys rolling. And, Leone today was laid back and loose as ever. I mean, you couldn't tell that there's more of an intensity to this series than any other series. He describes himself as even keel. And, I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to talk to one of his assistants, probably Paysher, it sounded like.
Paysher's our guy.
Learn more about how it's been working with a guy who describes himself as even keel the way Mike Leone does.
He, that's the big takeaway, right? Like, he's cracking jokes with us, everything.
He's loose.
Granted, it'll be a different, demeanor, but if he came on today all game face and everything, wouldn't have thought anything of it. Most of those guys are that way, and maybe he's going to try to keep them loose in this regard tomorrow because, okay, we've been off, or how are we going to be? And then you grip the stick a little tighter, and then on a turnover, and then who knows what happens. Keep the guys loose tomorrow night. We just have to figure out GITFO. You're saying it wrong. We couldn't. How are you supposed to say that?
Well, I don't know that I can say it without violating FCC regulations.
Okay, that's fair. But even the way you said it is no, you're saying it wrong.
I said,
Coach,
let's get it the F on.
Yeah.
And he said, you're saying it wrong.
He's like, I laugh at all these people on social media saying it wrong. All the guys pay attention. I'm like, okay, well, how you say it? I think I might go down to the post-game press conference and be like, okay, how do you say this?
It's not for us.
No, it's not.
It's not for us.
No.
Whatever works. If that's what's working, if that's what's getting them on, if it's not safe as death, it's...
No. Tired. Safe as death. Pesky Amherst. Tired. GITFO. Wired.
Wired. Absolutely. If you missed that conversation, if you missed Matt Perino talking Buffalo Bills earlier this afternoon in the sports bar, you can get either of those conversations wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you get your shows, wherever you enjoy listening to your favorite audio, including the Odyssey app. Just search out the sports bar, and you'll get all of our guest appearances there.
We got shots coming up here where, spoiler alert, Jason Tatum.
Not great.
No, it is Achilles tear. So I don't want an asterisk on this series. Danger if the Knicks win. Like,
there shouldn't be.
That game was already won.
And by the way, what if they don't? I know it's a 7-game series. It's 3-1. You have to win one game. But what if?
Oh,
you wouldn't put it past the Celtics to rise up, and there's a lot of talent on that squad, and now they've got a rallying cry. They've got a reason, a purpose. Let's get one for JT.
PJ Glasser joins us tomorrow, which that seems optimal. So you've got NFL schedule tomorrow night. You've got Amerks game 1. Oh, you've got Knicks and Celtics. Guess the line, Mike Danger.
I'm going to go Knicks.
Games in Boston.
Knicks -2.5.
Knicks -4.5.
Hey. Okay. That's
No. I beg your pardon. I have that backwards.
Celtics?
Boston is favored by 4.5.
Okay, at home.
At home.
Did you see the odds shift with the news of the Tatum injury?
Okay.
New York Knicks odds to now win the conference +120. Current odds to win the series -600.
If you're Indiana, you're going to be saying, what the heck? By the way, Cleveland's favored by 8.5 tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana can close this out on the road.
If I asked you to rank the favorites for the NBA championship right now, what order would you give me?
Okay, Oklahoma City 1.
Correct.
Oh, do they put the Knicks 2? Knicks are 2.
Knicks are 2.
Wow.
Plus 500.
Wow. That's only because, Minnesota, can they get by OKC? OKC seems to. Although tonight is game 5. You're staying up for that, Denver OKC tonight?
I got nothing planned, and I got a garage that's screened in.
Yeah.
Timberwolves are 3rd, plus 550, right behind the Knicks. The Pacers, plus 900 to win a championship. Plus 200 to win the conference.
PJ Glasser's back from his European vacation tomorrow.
Hey, our
just
guy.
in time.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Are we going to get to a point like, hey, if you want to bet on the NFL schedule? I mean, it's right now -100 for the Bills to open at home.
That's
okay,
great.
Story, yeah. So we've got that story here too. There's a WNBA franchise that looks like they're moving, but not for a reason you would expect. And Danger, your prophecy is coming true. It's just a hair off. You know what I'm talking about?
I always like hearing when I'm right.
Has to do with reality television.
Oh, I know what's going on. Yeah, I know where this is going.
It's just a little off.
I know where this is going.
Oh my gosh, this is way ahead of schedule.
Yeah, it's not Big Brother, but it's something else. I know where it's
yeah.
going. Yeah. We'll get into that and more next. A round of shots on the way. Don't forget about Last Call in the Sports Bar, where you can have the final word when you join us at 866-4326, 585-866 4FAN.
Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson have been reinstated by Major League Baseball. They're both now eligible for the Hall of Fame. Emmerich ticket count for Game 1, 5,400 tickets sold as of this morning. We'll have all the action tomorrow night here on the Fan Rochester. Still no dates for the Buffalo Bills schedule released. Chris Brown on One Bills Live offering up who he'd like to see in Week 1.
We surmised that would be a game that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And as we have mentioned on the show already, I wouldn't mind getting Cincinnati early because they're usually slow out of the gate anyway because they don't play starters in the preseason. They usually start rusty.
The Wings will be wearing the lilac uniforms this week. Durham, the opponent. It's official. Jason Tatum of the Celtics has a torn Achilles. NBA tonight, Indiana and Cleveland, Denver and Oklahoma City play a Game 5 tied at 2 each. Gene Battaglia, the Fan Rochester.
The only way to take the Fan Rochester with you is the free Odyssey app. Download it today and follow the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Happy hour continues. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia, the Fan Rochester. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Thanks for watching on our YouTube channel at the Fan Rochester and in the free to download Odyssey app as well. Time for a round of shots.
You might have missed this last night because, well, it happened after midnight, but if you stayed up for the Yankee game, it's not too often you see an ambulance come onto the field during a baseball game, but that's what was needed last night in Seattle. Yankee third baseman Oswaldo Cabrera suffered a serious ankle injury while scoring on a sac fly. He was hurt. He was trying to go back to the plate, and he slid in, and, well, that's when it happened. The team already missing Jazz Chisholm and DJ LeMahieu on the infield. Let's see if the Yankees go get some help there. Speaking of serious injuries, as we mentioned in the update, it is official. Jason Tatum, a torn Achilles, happened late in the Game 4 loss to the Knicks. Game 5 Wednesday night in Boston. New York now up 3-1.
Had surgery on that Achilles, I believe, already.
Right,
so
yep.
they're moving, and you knew something was wrong just based on his reaction. That guy was giving it all. I mean, you could just see he was kind of carrying things, and he's done that with this team. So you hate to see that for the Celtics. You hate to see that for the NBA.
Well, there's enough talent on that team to give the Knicks a game, if not win that Game 5. So this series far from over. The three teams with the best odds in the draft lottery, Mike Danger: Utah, the Washington Wizards, Charlotte. They didn't get the top pick.
Yeah.
Who wants to see Cooper Flag go there after
Nobody.
all? It's Dallas taking the prize. Dallas with just a 1.8% chance of winning the draft lottery. Ta-da. The NBA's formula preventing tanking seems to be working. Since they redid the lottery format back in 2021, the team with the worst record in the regular season has dropped to 5th every single year. So congrats to the Utah Jazz, who will be picking 5th. The NBA draft, by the way, is Wednesday, June 25th.
I'm done. There you go. There's my lottery take. I'm done with the NBA lottery. I'm done with the NHL lottery. Done with it. Move on. There's better ways of determining which team should get the best player coming out of the draft.
But don't you want to make it a made-for-TV sort of event?
Nah, I'm good.
You don't think it drew a number last night?
I don't know if it drew a number or not. I was watching the game anyways, and you made it part of the pregame. So I think short of doing, I know that I said this kind of cheekily earlier that the NBA loves their gimmicky in-season. NBA Cup. Go ahead, if you're going to do a play-in tournament for the postseason, do a tournament for the number 1 overall pick, although no player is really going to be excited about playing for a teammate that will eventually take his job. What about the 3-year average? What about taking a rolling or a 3-year average of a team's record over the, now you're discouraging not just tanking one season, but long term, you're trying to build something, get out of this doldrum that your franchise is in.
Yes and no, because when it gets down to it, the last 10, 15 games, you will know the math. Oh my gosh, we lose these last 10 games, we're going to get the number 1 overall pick. So maybe, I guess it would be more fair, but in the end, like every year, you'll know who will be the team that will be in the best position, and why don't we just go out there and lose?
You remember the Mavs tanking the final games of the 22-23 season to protect a top 10 protected pick, and they were fined $750,000. Oh, wow. That's really going to prevent teams from that's
what happened next year. They get to the final.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the soft tank is it's a tank just rebranded with a little polish, a little PR.
I think it's the NBA has this right. I know you and I kind of disagree on this. I mean, you're looking at it from why does Dallas get the prize? I look at it for Utah. That was your plan. Remember, they had Donovan Mitchell, and they're like, no, we're gonna hit the reset button, and well, good luck with that. I don't like Philadelphia sports. You know this, Danger. But for the NBA's sake, I mean, flag in Philadelphia would have been interesting.
Oh, it would have been so much fun.
Flag in Dallas would have been it. Flag in San Antonio.
How about this for an option? What if you assign draft picks in advance and rotate them, making tanking pointless because you know your draft position no matter what your record is? Like a wheel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to come up with, I think the lottery in the NHL and the NBA is a half measure and rewards teams that would like to lose now, win later. The reality is you want a league where the players and the teams are all saying, no, we want to win now and win later. Like we heard the Bills say the year that we thought they were tanking Sean McDermott's first year.
And I thought that was just lip service, but they went out and they backed it up. I'm going to read you the statement from the commissioner's office. This story you're going to hear more of. Everybody's going to have a column. Baseball writer will have a column. Obviously, a person no longer with us cannot represent a threat to the integrity of the game. Moreover, it's hard to conceive of a penalty that has more of a deterrent effect than one that lasts a lifetime with no reprieve. Therefore, I have concluded that permanent ineligibility ends upon the passing of the disciplined individual, and Mr. Rose will be removed from the permanently ineligible list.
Do you think Manfred was getting tired of dealing with Pete Rose's family?
Or
what led to this? Was it the president?
Oh, that's a factor. We can't pretend it is not.
Yeah.
Like, if the president says, put him back in, and there is a part here. He's dead. Shoeless Joe Jackson is dead. But Pete Rose is not a good guy. So if you're telling the history of the game,
Ty Cobb, not a good guy.
Not a good guy.
Hall of Famer.
Plenty of bad guys in the Kenneth and Mountain Landis, racist in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
The former commissioner. I mean, there are a lot of bad guys that are in the Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous about the integrity of the game moving forward, knowing that this is being allowed. I don't know what baseball writer has to say.
Are you going to write a column on this?
I might opine on this for a moment. My column, : This is baseball, actually, and we know baseball has marked the time, Gino. It's part of our past. Reminds us of all that was once good, what could be again. The hit king is going to get into the Hall, or will baseball writer hold court, exercise dominion from Mount Pius and say, not on my watch?
So think of something where you could overrule the president. Baseball writer has that authority.
Yeah.
Baseball writer, we're not going to vote because it's anonymous, and
we're going to keep him out.
You know, Dan Lebertard was way ahead of the curve on the whole baseball writer and the voting and the sanctimony and all that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So important.
In the early days of the WNBA, when literally it was always touch and go, investors were really, really needed. That's why, even today, you have a franchise that's playing in a casino that's in rural Connecticut. Well, that's not going to be much longer. The Connecticut Sun are up for sale. The franchise is put up for sale with relocation as the possibility.
Oh, that would be a bummer. Connecticut is actually a place where I think women's basketball can flourish. I mean, obviously with the success they've had for years and years with UConn, I know that they don't have the arena for it, right? They're playing it at what did you say, Mohegan Sun?
Mohegan Sun, but can you move it to downtown Hartford, or does the WNBA really want to align with the NBA kind of and make sure that we're in bigger markets where, hey, it's a hotbed certainly for women's college basketball, but is Hartford a big market? The answer is no, it's not. Like, why don't you have a team in Boston, let's say, for instance?
Oh, yeah, there isn't a team in Boston, is there?
No. There's no team in Philadelphia.
Huh.
There's a lot of markets out there for – are you kidding me?
I haven't been doing my homework on the WNBA, but that makes a lot of sense. Actually, when you look at it from a business standpoint, that makes a lot of sense. Relocation, sorry, Connecticut.
Sorry, Mohegan Sun.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We're taking your WNBA team.
Literally, the team was named not after the thing in the sky, but the casino.
Mm.
Kyle Snyder is one of the best wrestlers in U.S. history. Gold at the 2016 Rio Games. 3-time NCAA champion, Ohio State. He's won 3 world championships.
Sean McDermott, line 1. Sean McDermott on line 1.
Friday night, Kyle Snyder was arrested for engaging in prostitution.
Nope, hang up the phone, Sean. Hang up the phone. We don't want to talk to this guy.
Snyder was one of 16 men arrested in a sting in Columbus, Ohio.
That's terrible. Yeah, that'll be a wrestler that Sean McDermott doesn't have interest in. Doesn't sound like a process guy.
Who's the guy, like, from NBC? Like, To Catch a Predator?
Chris Hansen?
Chris Hansen.
Yeah.
It was Chris Hansen out there.
Why don't you sit down and have a cookie?
What were you doing here? Have a seat. Danger, this is happening faster than even you could imagine. Your prediction of Jordan Hudson, girlfriend of Bill Belichick, turning into a reality television star. Well, the first offer has come in, and it's not from Big Brother. It's from one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars has extended an invite.
They're all, by the way, I'll say this. They're all big in their own way. The reason why Dancing with the Stars, Big Brother, Survivor, The Voice, all of American, they're cheap. It's cheap to run. There's very minimal expense, and the massive return that they get on audience and from their advertisers means that these shows aren't going anywhere.
The year 2000, I was so into the Survivor.
It's great.
Doesn't that catch you off guard? Like, wait a second, this is still going on?
Yeah.
Who watches this? Who watches
I
this?
will. So I'll give you a peek into my personal life. I was on the dark side for many years when my oldest daughter was a teenager and my niece was a teenager. And traditionally, they wanted to watch Big Brother every year, all the time. They fell in love with Big Brother. Loved Big Brother.
Nothing wrong with spending time with the girls.
And nothing wrong with it, right? But I'm watching the show and I'm like, wow, these are the worst humans on the planet. And they're all living in one house together. They are horrible. They are horrible. So it's trash TV. But when you think about the business of the show, it makes all the sense in the world. They're doing this because they're fame whores. It's minimal expense for the network to produce, and you're getting a massive return, and there's still enough audience to justify the expense.
Well, if you need kind of the pattern here of what happened to reality television, like just look at MTV's The Real
World.
Yeah, The Real World. Real World in New York. Or like, oh, wait a second, you drank my milk, or just stupid little things like that. And then, hey, we go to San Francisco, and, okay, now we have a real-life situation where, hey, Pedro has AIDS, and he's going to die. Oh my gosh,
right.
This is real
world.
That's
what they're...
But then you get to Las Vegas, and everybody's in the hot tub and doing everything. I'm like,
dude, I'm telling you that every show, they're all the same. You've got every stereotype, every character, every slice of our society is represented. And The Real World set the tone. I mean, that first season, racial confrontation, and this girl's a racist, and and then the sexual tension and everything that goes with it. I get why it's still on the air, and I get why somebody like Jordan Hudson would get approached, because if you're Jordan Hudson, all you give off is thirst. She's not going to do this, though, right?
Well, according to the gossip site Daily Mail, which I know you're a big fan of, Danger. Quote, and this is, I always like the anonymous insider. I can't put my name to it because I don't want, so the anonymous.
Is it her mom, the owner of the sex toy shop?
Boing.
Sorry, I took a little something off the fast. Let me say it again. Is it her mom, the owner of the sex toy shop? No.
we're going to the Cape as we do every year.
Mm.
And if we go up to, there's a beach, Race Point, which is in Provincetown. Do I try to, for the benefit of the sports bar, try to find toys of arrows?
Some investigative journalism?
That would be it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe see who's coming in and out. Maybe anyhow.
Mm.
Back to the quote, the anonymous source about Jordan Hudson. Will she accept Dancing with the Stars? Quote, she will likely decline it, as it will be in the fall, the same time Bill will be coaching, and she wants to be there for him at UNC.
Bill, tell her.
Go
do it.
Go.
This is what you want. You're going to be famous. You look the part. You're thirsty at every turn. Go do Dancing with the Stars. Go be the drama queen of Dancing with the Stars. Go win a golden ball and let me coach. Leave me alone.
Bill, you're the guy who would work late at night. You really want that? You were late tonight.
What happened to no days off, Bill?
No days off. No days off.
Belichick, by the way, again, this is so bizarre. He addressed his personal life with his players today as they had some ACC spring meeting get-together.
When's the Strahan interview? Thursday?
Friday. On Good Morning America, where you and I kind of are in agreement. That's just going to be softball city.
Well, that news that you just said, that he addressed his personal life with his team, is something that Strahan can branch off of and ask about, which might lead to something. But I don't know that we're going to get any sort of definitive clarity on the relationship.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger.
Sorry, that's just sloppy work on my part. I'm running the board with my feet. I shouldn't have pressed that button. I pressed that button instead.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
It's like the Oscars music.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I have more to say here. What
I know.
people think?
I know. Well, we're up against it. We appreciate you listening this afternoon and every afternoon, 3 to 6 here on the Fan Rochester. Big thanks to our guest today, Matt Perino, the Syracuse Post-Standard. Also, Mike Leone, Rochester Americans head coach. Both conversations available wherever you get your shows. Search out the Sports Bar. Keep an eye on that Jordan Hudson for us, though, Gino. I can't get enough. Every day I want a Jordan Hudson up. Today, Dancing with the Stars. Tomorrow, Survivor. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Get those requests in.
PJ Glasser, Thad Brown on the show tomorrow.
And JR Sport Brief. On the way next. Enjoy your night. Talk to you again tomorrow starting at 3 on The Fan.